This weekend, a large snake skin was found by a citizen near a boat launch in the park area. It's being sent to Texas for testing. Despite reported sightings of Wessie and the snake skin, skeptics are still questioning the snake's existence. That'll do it for this hour. For Jennifer Kashenka, I'm Gordon Deal. Thanks for listening to This Morning, America's First News.
The U.S. Senior and Women's Open, the BMW Championship, the Chicago Half Marathon, NASCAR racing, the Blackhawks Parade, so many festivals and special events. And they all have one thing in common: Master Fence Rental. Master Fence Rental provides professional fence rental services throughout all phases of your construction project, special event, or emergency situation, along with prompt delivery and expert installation. These are the guys to call when you need to maintain temporary safety and security at your site. Master Fence Rental is ready right now for your next big event or building project with chain link fences, fence panels, and pedestrian barricades that are uniquely designed and built to be sturdy, safe, and attractive with easy installation and takedown. Event planners, show producers, contractors, request a free quote today and get ready to work with the temporary fence pros. Master Fence. Call 866-622-0822. 866-622-0822 or online, masterfencerental.com.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lisa Brady. Hillary Clinton downplaying the latest court ruling over her private emails.
My emails are so boring.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm embarrassed about that. They're so boring.
Her taped appearance on ABC's Jimmy Kimmel Live airing hours after a federal judge ordered the State Department to pick up the pace, reviewing thousands more emails from Clinton's private server.
Nearly 15,000 previously undisclosed emails recovered by the FBI during its investigation into Hillary Clinton's handling of classified information could be released by mid-October. Clinton is claimed to have deleted only personal emails before handing over more than 55,000 work-related pages to the State Department. The FBI says it was able to find additional work-related emails during its investigation. The conservative legal group Judicial Watch is sued to see the rest of those emails.
Fox Radio's Jared Halpern. The Clinton campaign says it supports the release of any work-related emails that can be released. Donald Trump, meantime, says the FBI and Justice Department can't be trusted to probe possible Clinton Foundation influence on the State Department.
The amounts involved, the favors done, and the significant number of times it was done require an expedited investigation by a special prosecutor immediately.
Trump at an Ohio rally yesterday. He's postponed a planned Thursday speech on his immigration policy. With some 60,000 homes damaged by flooding in Louisiana.
We're all in this together, and so we're just going to all take it a day at a time.
President Obama visits the devastated Baton Rouge area today. He's faced criticism for not cutting short a vacation to go sooner. The White House says the federal response speaks for itself. A warning from the UN's refugee agency that more than 1 million people could be uprooted by the effort to retake the Iraqi city of Mosul from ISIS. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
This morning, skies are clear. We have 67 degrees. It's 5:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. One person in custody after shots were fired at Chicago police. Authorities say someone began shooting at the officers yesterday in the 300 block of West 105th. Police returned fire. No one was hurt. A suspect was arrested. Park Forest police are searching for a burglary suspect following a standoff in the south suburbs. Officials say multiple people robbed a home yesterday in the 100 block of Hemlock before fleeing into a nearby home. A SWAT team surrounded that home for several hours until deciding to enter. No one was found inside, but authorities did recover some of the burgled property. An Illinois prison spokeswoman says an assault on 6 workers by 5 inmates at the maximum security Pontiac Correctional Center appears to have resulted from a failure to follow workplace safety procedures. Department of Corrections spokeswoman Nicole Wilson was responding to a union statement that policies and procedures designed to keep staff safe have been ignored or suspended by some new practices. The head of the Chicago Police Union claiming the department violated the due process of 7 officers who may lose their jobs.
We're looking for fair and impartial investigations, just like anybody else. And it seems to me that, there's a lot of cards stacked against these officers going in.
FOP President Dean Angelo, Superintendent Eddie Johnson recommended the police be fired last week after they were accused of lying about the shooting death of Laquan McDonald. An investigation is underway after a West Suburban Army soldier stationed in Texas has died. Specialist Dion Shannon of Maywood was found unresponsive Friday in his barracks at Fort Hood. The 24-year-old had been on active duty service since June of 2014. Chicago sports, Cubs over San Diego 5-1. Cubs hit 3 home runs, backing John Lester to win number 14. The news, the service of the Illinois Partners for Clean Air, asking, are you safe at home? Find out by taking their air quality quiz. Play every week for a chance to win lots of fun summer prizes. Get in the game now at cleantheair.org/safe at home. 5:04 is our time. We'll have a check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
My America is really easy. I can sum up my America in about 9.5 seconds.
The Joe Walsh Show.
It's my life, it's my money, it's my family, it's my business. I'll be responsible for everything. Government, get the hell out of my life. 9.5 freaking seconds.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
That might have been 8.5 seconds.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I'm telling you right now, it's awesome. I was trying to get my blood pressure regulated, okay? And after 3 days of taking this thing, my blood pressure went back down to normal. I am ecstatic. I am so happy with this stuff. It is my savior.
Well, I had back pain for the last 40 years. 4 days after I started taking this stuff, it's gone.
This was the first summer that I have not had to have a steroid shot to help me to breathe.
The reason why I'm taking it because I've got Hep C. Once I began taking your stuff, it took a few months, but believe it or not, my liver enzymes are way down and it's normal now. It works.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code CHICAGO.
5:06 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Let's get the latest on the morning ride to work. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Good morning, Mike. Tri-State Tollway southbound, just south of the Stevenson Expressway. There's a crash. 3 left lanes are blocked. So expect some delays to build there. And on eastbound 8094, slow going from Burnham across the state line to Calumet Avenue in Munster due to overnight construction. Mixed in is a crash at Torrance Avenue as well. South side, firefighters have extinguished a blaze. The 8100 block of South Essex, staging nearby 79th and Essex. Plenty of activity still in that area. Traffic is a service of Amtrak. Great memories are made on trains, not in traffic. Experience travel the way it should be. Go from Chicago to Dallas for $102 with Amtrak Saver Fares. Look now at amtrak.com/saverfares. See where the train can take you. Restrictions apply. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Here's our meteorologist, Holly Holdren.
Mostly sunny today, high 81. More humid tonight with increasing clouds and a late night shower or thunderstorm around, low 67. Cloudy, breezy, and humid tomorrow, couple of showers and thunderstorms, high 82. I'm Holly Holdren on AM 560, The Answer.
62 at O'Hare. It is 67 along the lakefront, 65 at Midway. Your next news update is at 5:30. Continuous news coverage at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy every Sunday afternoon at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning is, again, State House Chick, at State House Chick. She's
correct.
Kristen McQuarrie of the Chicago Tribune editorial board. Kristen, thanks so much. Where are the cinnamon rolls?
I brought treats. I rated my kids' lunch
good.
options. So
Ding
there's
dongs?
some Rice Krispie treats and some granola bars out there for you.
You feed your children Rice Krispie treats?
Yes.
Have you seen Michelle Obama's new nutritional guidelines?
They're actually within the guidelines.
Really?
Yeah, I mean it's just a whole grain cereal with sugar and butter.
Oh, yes. No, of course.
Right. I mean there's no dyes or genetically modified ingredients in Rice Krispie treats.
That's very good. I don't know how any of us grew up to be full-fledged adults without these nutritional guidelines. I mean, I was eating ding-dongs and ho-hos and...
Chef Boyardee right out of the
I
can.
love Chef Boyardee.
SpaghettiOs with some hot dogs sliced in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kraft macaroni and cheese full of yellow dye.
I don't know how anybody lived past the age of 12 without organic food and federal government guidelines. It's really quite breathtaking. Speaking of health, Hillary Clinton, is she sick? Is this a conspiracy theory? Is, as David Graham writes in The Atlantic yesterday, this the new birther movement of 2016? This is the 2016 version of the Obama birtherism. The questions about Hillary Clinton's wellness and Trump surrogate Rudy G., America's mayor, he was out on the talkies, including on Fox and Friends, making the case.
I think Hillary's tired. I do. When I saw Hillary at the press conference sitting down with the police, with a Democrat-appointed police chiefs, pretending she's pro-police, it was one of the most pathetic press conferences I've ever seen.
What do you mean?
Well, first of all, she looked sick. Number two, she looked completely uncomfortable saying anything pro-police. And number three, it was a complete joke because she was surrounded by 4 or 5 Democratic-appointed political police chiefs. We know. Just go ask any cop right out there. We know who the police are supporting.
Well, I think we can all agree on the latter point, but in terms of the reference he made to Hillary's illness, and he went on to say, including on other shows, that, the press is ignoring this. All you have to do is go look online, go Google Hillary and illness, and you'll see the videos. You judge for yourself.
It's silly. I mean, they're trying to claim that, and I think it's Trump's national spokeswoman who is actually trying to claim that she suffers from CTE, which is the degenerative disease caused by repeated blows to the head that NFL players are suffering from, because she did have this concussion, remember, in 2012.
Yeah.
She fainted. Of course, it was right before she was supposed to testify before the House Foreign Affairs Committee on Benghazi.
She threw herself down the stairs.
I don't think she did that, but she did suffer a concussion. But the idea that somehow, she's 68 years old. Are there times when, what was the word she used? She misfires or,
Right.
Fine. But this whole idea that she's
Short
not
circuits.
well, she short circuits. Right. It's absolutely.
She is a live woman. She is a human being.
For the listening audience, Dan's
Doing a little
doing
robot
arms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nanu.
Oh, a little Mork and Mindy.
Can you do that?
It's too soon.
This is like if you can do this with your fingers, you
You
can play
do
piano or something.
You can do the Vulcan
Can
thing.
you open and close them, though? See?
My right I can. My left, there's some kind of defection. I don't know. So do you care about Hillary's health? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636DA, turnkey.pro, text line. And I don't mean do you care if she's well. Of course, we want her to be well. I don't like her. I don't want her to be president of the United States, but I don't wish her bad health. Okay? So that's not the issue. The question is this a legitimate issue to raise? Is there enough evidence been presented that would suggest that this is something that demands further inquiry and requires that she be more transparent about her medical condition? In other words, release more medical records. She was on with Jimmy Kimmel, always a hard-hitting interview. You know, who says she's ducking the press? She's right there with Kimmel, taking the tough questions, and she was asked about her health.
Are you in good health?
Well, this has become one of their themes. Here, you take my pulse while I'm talking to you.
Okay.
Make sure I'm alive.
Oh, my God, there's nothing there.
There's nothing there. What can I say? It's,
They're fun.
They're yucking it up.
You know, she is just a cut up, that Hillary Clinton. What a personality. What a sense of humor.
Sparkles.
And they went on for more gags. Hillary kind of doing her 21st century vast right-wing conspiracy talk, and then, doing more gags to yuck it up and, have Jimmy Kimmel essentially act as a surrogate for the Clinton campaign.
I think, on the one hand, it's part of the wacky strategy. Just say all these crazy things, and maybe you can get some people to believe you. On the other hand, it just absolutely makes no sense. And I don't go around questioning Donald Trump's health. I mean, as far as I can tell, he's as healtty as a horse.
Well, his doctor said he had the best health medical examination he's ever seen in a human being.
Yeah, I saw that.
Can you open this jar of pickles? This has not been tampered with. This is...
Oh, the laugh. Isn't that laugh just delightful? Oh, yay! She opened the jar of pickles. Maybe the jar of pickles was what was having her think about Trump.
Oh, stop it.
Healthy as a horse, she said.
She said healthy as a horse, not the other thing.
She said healthy as a horse about Donald Trump. You know what I think? I continue to think that something's going on. I think she has a little crush. I think she has a crush on Trump.
I mean, I think the levity in that conversation is necessary because this is just a silly argument. What's the evidence? To have Rudy Giuliani going on the Sunday shows and trying to claim that there are these videos that show her misfiring or not thinking straight. It's just not true. It's ridiculous. Don't you agree?
Well, maybe, she needs the hand railing to get up the stairs, and she needs Joe Biden to catch her when she falls and all that. Maybe it's because she's just like a, vastly out of shape 70-year-old woman. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Maybe.
And it's not, necessarily any kind of brain trauma she's suffering from. But then there's this. I still don't feel great. An email.
Oh, my God.
And then Hillary Clinton.
Oh, here's the smoking gun.
So you
she
ready
had
for
the
this?
flu.
This is in May of 2009. She still doesn't feel good some 7 years later. She emailing her confidant, Mrs. Carlos Danger, Uma Abedin, who, of course, married to the Randy Mongoose, as he now terms himself. Do you think we could get a plane for a Westchester flight back? It's going to rain all day, and I still don't feel great. So the idea of playing a guessing game with the shuttle is pretty burdensome to me. What do you think? Could be any time that works for the Air Force. I wish I could call the Air Force for a ride home. And then the State Department website, a briefing that day with acting spokesman Robert Wood. My understanding is the secretary's not in today, taking a sick day. Can you bring us up to date on how she's feeling, whether she expects to be back tomorrow? She'll be back tomorrow. I think she suffers from mild allergies. Or is it? Is it? Yeah. So,
and of course,
there's that.
This is in contrast to Trump, who did finally release his medical records in December. And of course, his doctor came out and said that Donald Trump would be the healthiest president ever.
He's the healthiest human being to ever walk the planet.
Dr. Harold Bornstein, the 69-year-old candidate's physician since 1980, wrote that the candidate's latest physical exam showed only positive results. If elected, Mr. Trump, I can state unequivocally, will be the healthiest individual elected to the presidency.
That's
what we got here.
That is an unequivocal statement. There's no question. Yeah, I mean, do I think this is an issue? No, I don't. Not unless there's real evidence to suggest.
Great. Let's keep talking about it then.
No, but I mean, I will tell you one thing though. So Tom Coburn, former senator from Oklahoma, I went to a lunch with him about 3 years ago, maybe. He was in town, small group lunch, and this is a serious guy. He's not a conspiracy theorist. He's not moon bad, not out there And he said, we were talking about who was going to run and whether Hillary was going to run. And he said, look, I really don't think she's going to run. I think she does have some serious health challenges, not from the fall and the concussion, and her vision isn't right. And I mean, these are from conversations with her. He's somebody that worked across the aisle. I think that was well regarded by both sides. And so he at the time thought, well, I don't think she's going to run. I don't think she's going to be healthy enough to run. I don't think she's going to be up for it physically. Now, obviously, she has been, and that's fine. But I'm just saying that, there is some questions. But is it something that we should obsess about? Is there a lot of evidence to suggest? No, there is not. So the way that you continue to raise this without raising it is just say, look, I don't want to talk about Hillary's health. I want her to be healthy. I hope she's healthy. I hope she feels well today. And you just say that every day. You just start your day with a prayer for Hillary Clinton's health. Ed in Oak Brook, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not a big Hillary fan. In fact, I don't like her at all. But you know what? The lady's under tremendous stress, and she's out there battling and lying and cheating, and who knows, maybe even worse than that.
Exhausting.
So you know what? She's under a lot of stress. And I went through stress, and I had 4 heart attacks. So I don't know how she actually does keep up her lying, thieving pace, but she certainly does. So, yeah, I think there is something wrong with her.
All right, Ed. We'll take it slow out there. Don't live a stress-free life, Ed. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. I think it's the vitriol that keeps her going.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Today, mostly sunny, a high of 81. Tonight, some clouds, more humid, perhaps a passing thunderstorm, which I love. Low of 67. Tomorrow, cloudy, breezy, perhaps more showers, so grab an umbrella tomorrow. High of 82. Now we'll get a check of traffic with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Kristen. Good morning. Good morning, Dan. 8094 eastbound. It's jammed solid now from the Bishop Ford Freeway to Calumet Avenue in Munster due to overnight road construction, and there is a crash in the midst of that delay right around Torrance Avenue. Tri-State Tollway southbound, south of the Stevenson Expressway. Had a crash blocking 3 left lanes. Prepare to slow down there. Outbound Kennedy at North Avenue. There's a stall blocking the left lane. The other expressways and tollways look good. Southeast side, firefighters have extinguished a multi-alarm fire in the 8100 block of South Essex. Things are still blocked off in that area. Jim Talamonte of the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
We're the 32-year-old company whose first employee and first client are still working together. Hi, Tom Sadeka, CEO of Precision Payroll of America. If you are like me and are listening to this station, chances are we hold some common values and truths we hold self-evident. That's the main reason Precision Payroll attracts great clients and great employees. Precision Payroll of America operates at the core with fundamental principles that drive our attitude and delivery of service. We work hard to provide the best in pricing and value. In addition, with our great team that has been with us a long time, you are ensured a lasting relationship with people who understand your needs and always stand ready to serve. What sets us apart is that we view what we do as a great opportunity to serve others in a professional and technical capacity while building long-lasting relationships. That's what we treasure. If this message hits home, please call me at 630-242-1507. That's 630-242-1507 or on the web at precisionpayroll.com.
I am so glad I did it. I'm just mad at myself for waiting so long. Hi, Amy Jacobson here for CertaPro Painters. You know, our front porch had chipping and peeling. It looked old and run down, but thanks to CertaPro Painters, it looks brand new again. And trust me, my neighbors are happy I did it. And you know, it's not too late to book that painting project. But don't wait. Be sure to get on CertaPro Painters' summer painting schedule today. Call 800-GO-CERTA or visit CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. You know, CertaPro Painters will work around your busy schedule to get your home looking picture perfect for all your summer entertaining. That's why CertaPro Painters says we do painting, you do life. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Whether it's residential or commercial, interior or exterior, it's not too late to get that painting project off your to-do list. Call now, 1-800-GO-CERTA, 1-800-GOCERTA, or visit CertaPro.com today.
Message and data rates may apply.
If you're considering going back to school, ask yourself the following questions. Do you need the flexibility to take classes on your schedule? Do you have college credits you need transferred? Do you want to earn a quality degree from a world-renowned university? If you answered yes to any of these questions, Arizona State University is the perfect school for you. Arizona State University offers over 100 highly ranked degree programs 100% online. You'll earn the same degree as you would on campus, from wherever you are, on your schedule. Plus, ASU Online accepts most transfer credits. For information, text online to 67076. Learn for yourself why the Wall Street Journal ranks ASU 5th in the nation for producing the best qualified graduates, and why 90% of ASU grads are recruited within 90 days of graduation. Learn to grow, learn to succeed, and learn to thrive at Arizona State University. To learn more about ASU Online degrees, text online to 67076. Again, that's ONLINE to 67076.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, and in for Amy is Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board. And Kristen, they're talking about Hillary Clinton on with Kimmel yesterday, talking about her health. And there was this moment at the end of their little back and forth about her condition, in which he opened a jar of pickles.
I think on the one hand, it's part of the wacky strategy. Just say all these crazy things and maybe you can get some people to believe you. On the other hand, it just absolutely makes no sense. And I don't go around questioning Donald Trump's health. I mean, as far as I can tell, he's as healthy as a horse.
Well, his doctor said he had the best health medical examination he's ever seen in a human being.
Yeah, I saw that.
Can you open this jar of pickles? This has not been tampered with. This is...
Text from Steve on 88. That's the closest she's been to a pickle in over 30 years.
And they were the little gherkin pickles, the little ones, little guys.
No. No, they were not. Nice try, though. Speaking of conspiracy theories, there are some on the other side directed at, say, Melania Trump. Melania Trump, who has put a couple of media outlets, including the Daily Mail, across the pond on notice that she is going to pursue a claim of defamation against them. They published a piece that makes all kinds of accusations about Melania Trump's past. The birtherism of the left is real birtherism, still questioning her immigration status and how she came to be a legal resident of the United States and ultimately a U.S. citizen. Also questioning her modeling career.
Come on.
Well, making a defamatory allegation that she was essentially an escort.
Oh, okay.
That is
All right.
that is per se defamatory if that is not true, and I have no reason to believe it's true. But if you accuse somebody of illegal activity, then that clears the threshold even for a public figure. Her attorney, interestingly, is the attorney that represented Hulk Hogan in his successful suit against Gawker, which essentially shut down Gawker thanks to Peter Thiel's financing. But I mean, it was like a $100 million judgment plus against Gawker and shut him down and shut down their ghastly editor-in-chief, too. Filed personal bankruptcy, I think. But in an email, Melania's attorney, Charles Harder, said Mrs. Trump has placed several news organizations on notice for claims against them, including Daily Mail, for making false and defamatory statements about her supposedly having been an escort in the 90s. All such statements are 100% false, highly damaging to her reputation, and personally hurtful. While she understands the media has certain leeway in a presidential campaign, but outright lying about her in this way exceeds all bounds of appropriate news reporting and human decency and, frankly, First Amendment protection. The Daily Mail story also questions the meeting in 1998 where Trump and Melania supposedly met, suggesting that was staged. They cite, listen to this. You want to talk about the tawdry left. You talk about some of the conspiracy theorists on the right, and I don't like conspiracy theories. It's fodder for feeble minds. But let's just be a little bit equal in our assessment here. They're citing this book, a book by some dude named Adam Schlechter, From the Whorehouse to the White House, The True Story of Melania Trump.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, talk about tabloid trash. That's what they're using as a source on questioning the timing of the Trump-Melania meeting, and the nature of her modeling career and looking into past relationships with men, other men that she had prior to Trump, and so on and so forth, suggests, in addition to her immigration to this country, it's just kind of unseemly business, and Melania is fighting back, interestingly.
Well, she would have to prove actual malice, and from what I see in this story that the Daily Mail picked up, they question whether or not this modeling agency that once represented her also had a side business as an escort agency, and she doesn't seem to be arguing against that. And both of the news outlets that published this wrote full-throated apologies and retractions, so that will work against her case because they tried to set the record straight.
Yeah, but it's interesting that they're put on notice, though, that there will be a fight if they go down this road, and even if they don't cross the line and make the direct accusation, the implication is clear, and it's a smear job.
Well, I've seen worse things on political mailers in this state about candidates running for office, and we could talk about that later. But
I go back and say there is a high bar to clear in terms of a public figure and the standard for to make a successful claim of defamation. But if you accuse someone of a crime, and prostitution is a crime, then that clears the threshold. That is per se defamation. Without any basis, if you accuse them of a crime, that is per se defamation. So, Melania may have a difficult case, but those news outlets are a little jumpy too, thus the retractions.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Mike Rowe here with a quick IAQ test for my buddy Bill.
Wait, I didn't study.
IAQ stands for Indoor Air Quality, something 1 hour excels at.
Well, I aced my SATs, so...
Yes or no? Do you breathe inside your home?
Yeah.
And what do you breathe?
Air.
And what's in that air?
Air?
Sorry, we were looking for dust mites, household pollutants, even formaldehyde.
Wait, I need to move.
Or you could call 1 hour and improve your IAQ.
That sounds smarter.
Let's see how you do with the disclaimer.
Each independent franchise is licensed in its respective state or county.
Not bad.
Not available in all states.
Whoa, what do you have there?
It's a Reese and Irvy's frozen yogurt. We just had our robot make one.
A robot made your frozen yogurt?
Yes, the world's first fully interactive robot vending machine that serves 9 flavors of delicious yogurt with 6 amazing toppings. And it's available for an exclusive franchise opportunity.
How do I get my own Reese and Irvy's robots?
It's easy, but you better act now. Locations and machines are going fast. Just go to froyofranchising.com. That's froyofranchising.com. Check it out now, froyofranchising.com.
If you're serious about selling your home, now's the time. Supply is low, and it's a great seller's market in many Chicagoland neighborhoods. This is Michael Medved, and I've done some research, and along with my Salem radio colleagues Mike Gallagher and Dennis Prager, we all recommend that you call Saul. Saul Z and the Z team are so good that if they don't sell your home in 59 days, they'll sell it for free. Guaranteed. Saul is ranked 106 out of 1.2 million agents by the Wall Street Journal. His proven marketing system is so effective that he sells on average a home every single day. Now, he does it by attracting multiple full-price offers that increase demand and help sell your home fast and at the highest price. It's a no-brainer. If I were selling a home in Chicagoland, I'd call Saul. Go online to callsaul.net. That's callsaul.net. Or call Saul now at 888-346-0666. That's callsaul.net or 888-346-0666. You'd better call Saul.
AM 560, The Answer.
Oh, boy.
ZZ Top?
Oh, my
Help
gosh.
me. No.
That's so bad. It's so wrong. A Fabulous Thunderbirds. And it's a little soon because Fabulous Thunderbirds lost their ex-bassist last week. He died at the age of 62.
Oh, I was unaware.
I guess you could say you can wrap him up. Because he wasn't tough enough. Mike Scott appreciates
That's good.
that.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Mike Scott appreciates. Somebody appreciates me around here. All right, coming up at 5:38 is Bruce Rauner's plan to underfund social services. That's what Mike Madigan says. We'll discuss after we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Skies are clear. We have 67 degrees, and we're watching the Atlantic Ocean this morning, where the National Hurricane Center says the 7th tropical storm of the season, Gaston. It's developed far over the Atlantic. It will steadily strengthen into a hurricane by about Wednesday, but it will remain well out to sea by the weekend. President Barack Obama makes his first visit to flood-ravaged southern Louisiana today. The president has taken major flack for opting to complete a family vacation in Martha's Vineyard and not go to Louisiana. State Department giving itself a month to review thousands of undisclosed documents from Hillary Clinton's tenure as Secretary of State before coming up with a release schedule. Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump reiterating some positions on immigration at a rally in Akron, Ohio yesterday.
Poor Hispanic and African American citizens are the first to lose a job or to see a pay cut when we don't control our borders. So true.
His words come amid reports he's still undecided about what to do with the millions of illegal immigrants living in the United States. Hillary Clinton continues to lead the presidential race, but that lead is shrinking, according to an NBC News SurveyMonkey poll. The margin actually 1 point smaller this week than last week in the same survey. Meantime, Clinton trying to poke fun at the rumors about her health.
Back in October, the National Enquirer said I would be dead in 6 months.
Oh, wow. Oh, boy.
So with every breath I take, I feel like it's a
You have a new lease on life.
Yeah, a new lease on life.
That on ABC's Jimmy Kimmel Live. The Obama administration itself confident the courts will back its guidelines on transgender students after receiving a blow in the federal courts yesterday.
The focus of the administration has been on practical problem solving. And we've worked effectively with local school districts across the country to try to help them address this complicated issue.
The judge ruling the issue was not all that complicated because the Obama administration had not followed proper procedures in issuing any guidelines. One person is in custody after shots were fired at Chicago police. It happened in the 300 block of West 105th. No one was hurt. The head of the Chicago Police Union claiming the department violated due process of 7 officers who may lose their jobs in the wake of the shooting death of Laquan McDonald. And Americans for Responsible Solutions. It is an anti-gun violence political action committee founded by former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords and her husband Mark Kelly has endorsed 2 Republican senators for their 2013 votes following the Sandy Hook Elementary massacre. Republican Senators Pat Toomey and Illinois U.S. Senator Mark Kirk receiving the backing of Gabby Giffords and her PAC. Kirk, perhaps endangered, challenged from Democratic Representative Tammy Duckworth, gets a boost from that endorsement. Cubs over San Diego 5-1. The news a service of the Illinois Partners for Clean Air. Are you safe at home? Find out by taking their air quality quiz. Play every week for a chance to win lots of fun summer prizes. Get in the game now at cleantheair.org/safe at home. 5:36 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
It's back. The biggest conservative event in the Midwest returns this October. It's Freedom Summit Chicago 2016, October 29th in Itasca, featuring Alan West, Michelle Malkin, Mike Gallagher, Stephen Moore, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Joe Walsh, and many more. Tickets start at just $29. Order your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Air Comfort, the Ayn Rand Institute, and by healthinsurancementors.com.
There are so many families in the Chicagoland area that cannot afford regular dental care. We take for granted our regular routine cleanings, but for many children and families, it's an added expense that's not in the budget. Yet oral health care impacts self-esteem and the ability to work, which is why the Chicago Dental Society Foundation Clinic is committed to improving the oral health in our communities. I'm Lauren Feldner, speaking to you on behalf of the caring dentists of the Chicago Dental Society, who have addressed this issue by providing free basic dental services at the Chicago Dental Society Foundation Clinic, which is located in DuPage County. At this clinic, we treat and educate patients and their families for free. We help them experience good oral health care. Our clinic is staffed with all volunteer dentists who depend on the generous support of donors to provide these services to Cook, Lake, and DuPage counties. Please help keep our free dental clinic open. Donations can be made at cdsfound.org. That's cdsfound.org. On behalf of the dentists of the Chicago Dental Society, thank you for your support.
5:37, Guardian Security Services Traffic Center time. Here's Jim.
Thanks, Mike. In northwest Indiana, actually starting in Illinois, there are delays, big delays on eastbound 8094, Bishop Ford Freeway to Calumet Avenue. And the bigger delays are actually from the Ford Freeway to Torrance. There's a crash in the two left lanes. The overnight work at Calumet Avenue is clearing now. Northbound I-65 at Ridge Road, there's a crash in the right lane. Tri-State southbound at Stop and Go from the Hinsdale Oasis to the Stevenson. Crash there in the three left lanes. Delays on the inbound Ryan with a crash before the Burn Circle in the right lane. It's 21 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford heavy early, 25 minutes, 80-94 to the Ryan. Traffic as a service of Subway. Score Subway restaurants' new chicken Caesar melt 6-inch meal. With chips and a 21-ounce drink, it's just $6. Sandwiches prepared in front of you. Limited time only at participating restaurants, plus tax. Additional charge for extras. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Sunny and 81 today. A thunderstorm could crop up in spots overnight, low 67. Currently 63 at O'Hare. Next news at 6, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next with Kristen McCreary joining us this morning while Amy vacations on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, a family tradition since 1897.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues right now. And make sure to join me, Sean Hannity, this afternoon starting at 2, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan, and in for Amy, Kristen McCreary from the Chicago Tribune Editorial Board. And Kristen, you follow state government with some specificity, and you have for a long time. So you know how rare it is when Mike Madigan has a press conference where he fields a wide-ranging array of questions, which he did yesterday. And he had a lot to say on a range of topics. One of the things he said was about Rauner in the context of the presidential campaign, and a little bit of an indication of what you're likely to hear for the last 80 days of the campaign and what you're likely to see in the mailboxes and on your television screens as it relates to state legislative races. This connecting Rauner to Trump.
You have to understand that Rauner is Trump. Trump is Rauner. They're connected at the hip. They're two peas in a pot. Rauner will try to run away from Trump, but I don't think the people of Illinois are prepared to let that happen. I think the people of Illinois clearly see that Illinois should stand against the extremism of Trump and the extremism of Rauner. And I think they'll do that in the general election.
Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is Finkel. Is that true? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 646-36DA, turnkey.pro text line. Rauner and Trump, two peas in a pod.
Oh, yes. Aren't they? I bet we could draw more parallels between Madigan and Trump than we probably could Bruce Rauner and Trump. Let's see. Both billionaires who won't release their tax returns. Both have families with, kids who benefited from their parents' clout. Probably, Madigan's kids went to had an elite education that he will not afford to other kids in the state who can't afford private school.
But Trump's kids are talented.
Well,
so that's a difference.
They're talented, but they also had the very best, in terms of educational opportunity.
Well, it's not like Trump gave some of them a constitutional office. I mean, so it's not quite the same thing.
She's earned it now. She's run independently of him.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't even say it.
Right. Hilarious.
But the extremism that Mike Madigan keeps using toward Bruce Rauner is it's just like, I just have to laugh at it. I mean, what is extreme in this state is the fact that we have $110 billion, that's conservative, in unfunded pension liabilities on his watch, that we have $8 billion in unpaid bills we can't pay our service providers. That's pretty extreme. It's pretty extreme that we have a Democratic House Speaker who single-handedly, through his attorney, is blocking the two most popular ballot initiatives, redistricting and term limits. That's pretty extreme. It's pretty extreme that we've had an education funding formula in the state that punishes you based on your zip code and they refuse to change it. I'd say that's pretty extreme.
There's no shortage of Illinois being the extreme case of being the bad example, right? I mean, this is the extreme bad example across every
metric,
financial wellness measure and quality of life measure. And Mike Madigan's been there for 40 years. He's been speaker for 30 plus, and Bruce Rauner's been here for 5 minutes. But it's Rauner's the problem. It's fascinating, and some people buy it because I guess when you can't defend a record that is so long in the making, what are you left to do other than attack your opponent and say, well, no, he's the problem and he's the extremist, and I'm trying to work together, because that's proven to work in this state where a lot of people, and you see it on Twitter, oh, wow, Rauner's cutting things. Yeah, he's cutting what? We don't have a budget. We haven't had a budget in 2 years. We haven't had a constitutionally balanced budget in 15 years. Nobody's cutting anything. The left's idea of cuts is if you stop spending money you don't have, and if you stop making promises you know you can't keep, that's a cut.
Right.
Okay.
So a $7 billion out of balance budget that Madigan's House passed in May.
The courage.
That's not extreme.
The courage.
Right. It's money on paper. That's it. It doesn't actually exist. So all the people who voted for that saying, well, I was worried schools weren't going to open and I wanted to make sure the most vulnerable populations were going to get money. There was no money. There was no money. It's just like, I don't understand. My head hurts. It's too early for this. Don't get me so angry.
Mike Madigan is, he's an astute anthropologist as well. And so he's got some ideas in terms of why African-American voters stick with the Democrats despite their policies destroying the lives of so many black families, particularly in Chicago, but generally across the state of Illinois, across the nation. These predatory big government policies we spent a lot of time talking about yesterday and last week when Trump re-raised the issue in Michigan over the weekend. Mike Madigan, black families are going to stick with the Democrats. They know why.
Well, I think that minorities in America are prepared to vote against Donald Trump because of his record, because of the statements he's made during the campaign. Minorities in America today clearly know that the Democratic Party is a party which is more representative of them than the Republican Party.
Yeah, right. They know that. They know they're going to continue to vote with Democrats because of Trump. So everything is because Trump. Madigan can't provide an explanation for the last 40 years, so he has to live in the moment and find somebody unpopular, particularly in certain quarters, that he can demagogue. And so that's what he's doing. Oh, and that, GOP Congress, too. Minorities know.
Why is that? What is it that Democrats are doing and Republicans aren't?
It's because of the record that the Republicans have written in the Congress.
Yeah.
Where they've had numerous opportunities to, as an example, adopt a new immigration policy. And the majority of Republicans in the Congress have stood against immigration reform. It's policies stated and espoused by Trump, which
Trump again.
minorities can take and see they clearly are not in their best interest.
And black families are really concerned about immigration reform?
I think he's going to make that case like he has. He sent out mailers a couple cycles ago where he claimed that Republican lawmakers running for state House seats were going to cut Medicare and Social Security. All right? Not a single issue on those two subjects would ever really come before the legislature. But voters get confused sometimes between federal office and state office. So I think he's going to use immigration to target some Hispanic districts and claim that some Republicans running in those districts are going to do something with immigration reform. Again, completely federal issue. Not a whiff of immigration reform would ever come before the legislature, but it works.
I mean, except designating sanctuary cities and those sorts of things. But that's right. I interviewed Steve Brown for our Illinois Rising program that's on Sundays at 3 p.m. Steve Brown, Mike Madigan's spokesman for 30 years, raised that issue. These mailers that are sent out attacking Republicans for, quote unquote, cutting Medicare and Social Security. State representatives in Illinois that are cutting Social Security. And Steve Brown doesn't know anything about it. He's happy to look at any
He
mail.
actually probably does not.
Well, okay.
He actually probably does
I'm
not.
sure he's heard something about it. But he is happy to look at any mailers that I can produce with the return address of the Illinois Democratic Party, which is headed by Mike Madigan. And
Wait, he's the spokesman for that, too, right? Steve Brown is the spokesperson for the Illinois Democratic Party. He is.
as far as he knows. I mean, he can't keep track of all these things, his positions, these mailers.
No, well, he doesn't cross over, Dan, from state government work onto the campaign side. I mean,
it's fascinating. It's rich. It really is. I appreciate his willingness to take a look at anything I'm able to produce with respect to what he and his friends, including the top Shetland pony Democrat in the state, produce. It's fascinating. Here's something else Madigan said yesterday in this press gaggle. He was asked about the Chicago violence problem, and he suggested the lack of social services is exacerbating these problems. He said, let's not forget it has been clearly part of Rauner's plan to underfund social services. To underfund social services, part of Rauner's plan. So right now there are 24,000 families in Illinois with a family member who has a developmental disability in queue waiting for services the state guarantees to provide to their children. 24,000. That line did not assemble over the last 2 years. This has been a systemic problem, a systemic failure of the state when it comes to truly vulnerable populations that professional liars like Mike Madigan reference and don't serve.
I mean, I've been covering the legislature now for 21 or 2 years. Out of all of those years, you know how many of them I've watched social service providers come before the legislature and beg for money during budget time? 21 or 22 years. I mean, the idea that we have been somehow so generous with these social service providers who literally get paid last. The General Assembly for years would pass budgets. They would deal with education funding. They would deal with their own salaries. They would deal with, all of their pet projects, their pork projects. And then in the end, if there was some leftover money, then the social service providers would get paid. But the idea that this has been a problem under Bruce Rauner, it has been exacerbated, that's for sure, because they haven't come to a budget agreement and we just don't have the money. But the idea that this was an intentional withholding of money is just ridiculous.
And why don't we have the money? Why do we have $230 billion in debt and only $30 billion as assets? Did that happen in the last 20 months too?
No. How about
we don't have the money because all the money that's been taxed and spent and borrowed and spent hasn't been spent to improve the lives of truly vulnerable people, to abide the promise to provide state services to those who need state services through no fault of their own. That's never happened. It hasn't happened in the last 30 years of this little leprechaun's reign. And it's a little tiresome to listen to. And let me tell you something else for all you, minorities that Mike Madigan believes are beholden to you, minority families in this state, and Democrats and goo-goo lakefront liberals and other G5 liberals on the North Shore and in communist enclaves like Evanston and Oak Park. You're part of using other human beings, using disabled children as cannon fodder for a big government agenda from which they receive no benefit. You're part of it. You're a co-conspirator with Mike Madigan to punish disabled children, to use them as a misdirection play while their needs go unattended. And all you have to do is ask those 24,000 families waiting in line. There is your Chicago Democrat Party in Illinois, Democrats.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Your forecast today, mostly sunny, high of 81. You might need some of that KFC sunscreen. Did you hear about that? Tomorrow, some mostly cloudy, breezy, humid with a couple of showers. Grab your umbrella.
Come with a biscuit.
They put out sunscreen and people actually put it on and it smells like fried chicken. I heard that on my way in. Let's get a check of traffic from Jim Talamonte.
Thank you, Kristen and Dan. Good morning. Well, traffic is extra crispy on the southbound tri-state. Just a mess from the Hinsdale Oasis to the Stevenson where there's a crash. Now just 2 left lanes are blocked, but it's still a heavy delay. Things are getting better on eastbound 8094. Still slow, the Bishop Ford to Torrance. An earlier collision there has cleared. The Edens is fine, so is the Kennedy. About Eisenhower, about a 2-minute delay from Manheim to 25th. It's fine outbound. Stevenson slow Harlem to Pulaski, 40 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. The Ryan is 25 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford, 23 minutes, 80-94 to the Merge. Jim Talamonte of the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
Hey, if your kids haven't started back to school yet, they will be in a matter of days, and it's hard to believe that it's back to school season already, but it is here. And for some parents, that's not exactly good news, especially if you're not happy with your child's school or teacher. Maybe it's time to make the switch this school year and send your child to a private school. Now, you can make that switch for half the price of the regular tuition when you simply visit halfpriceschools.com. At halfpriceschools.com, you'll find dozens of local private schools that are offering vouchers for a full year of tuition at, you guessed it, half the price. There's no catch. It's very simple. Find a school near you, purchase the tuition voucher, and make that school switch. HalfPriceSchools.com has schools located all across the Chicagoland area, including Kankakee, Palos Heights, Wheaton, Westchester, South Holland, Chicago, Arlington Heights, just to name a few. Now, the school year is here, so don't wait another day and don't settle for a public school that isn't right for you and your child. Visit HalfPriceSchools.com today. That's HalfPriceSchools.com.
Hey, you've heard how Automated Systems excels at assisting companies with systems integration and FDA compliance. But they're also a staffing leader. They supply handpicked elite leadership, subject matter experts, and proven technical professionals in engineering, quality control, and FDA compliance to support the life sciences field in executing mission-critical projects. ASI provides highly specialized pros to deliver projects on time and budget. Don't pay a lot more to a big consulting firm, and don't trust the big temp agencies to supply the talent you need. Call Laz, my friend Laz at Automated Systems, when failure isn't an option. ASI is retained by all of Chicagoland's Fortune 500 life sciences companies, from big pharma to startups, and excel through a culture of excellence in execution. For a staffing, compliance, or automation evaluation, call Laz now at Automated Systems at 844-HIRE-ASI or visit AutomatedSYS.com. That's 844-HIRE-ASI or AutomatedSYS.com.
Change in the market shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. In fact, since World War II, we've seen a correction on average about once every 18 months. That's why Arlington Capital Management developed proprietary tools that help them to see what's beyond your investment horizon. Like an experienced ship captain uses tools to avoid stormy weather, Arlington Capital Management uses tools to guide you through market corrections before it's too late and help us decide when to capitalize on opportunity. Call Arlington Capital Management today at 855-471-5796 to learn how their active management systems can help you. Each day, they actively explore the market, our economy, and all the variables that affect your investments. Stormy markets never cloud their vision. The professionals at Arlington Capital Management use their tools and experience to guide them. Call Arlington Capital Management today at 855-471-5796 for a financial review. The number again is 855-471-5796 or learn more at arlington-capital.com.
Have you wanted to buy a MyPillow? You're in luck. For August only, when you buy one premium MyPillow, you'll still get the second one for free, but you'll also receive 2 additional Go Anywhere MyPillows for free. So you're actually getting 2 premium and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows for the price of only 1. It's the best offer ever. Nearly every AM 560 host endorses MyPillow because it's the best. The National Sleep Foundation agrees because they made it their official pillow. It's washable to remove all the ickies that cause allergies, acne, asthma. So it's healthy and you'll sleep better. Visit mypillow.com. Click
the radio listener special tab and use the promo code Joe. You'll get 2 premium My Pillows and 2 Go Anywhere for the price of 1. Or you can call 1-800-489-0201. Mention the radio listener special and use the promo code Joe. That's mypillow.com or 800-489-0201.
In 2012, Jim and Gayla Smith hosted the first Midwest Barbecue for the Brave fundraiser in their backyard to raise money to build handicapped accessible smart homes for severely injured veterans. They've raised and donated tens of thousands of dollars to Building for America's Bravest, a proud program of the Stephen Siller Tunnel to Towers Foundation, building custom-designed smart homes to help restore independence and improve the quality of life for our nation's most injured service members. And the help continues. The 2016 Midwest Barbecue for the Brave is Thursday, September 8th at CD&Me Special Events, 23320 South LaGrange Road in Frankfort, Illinois. Doors open at 6. General admission tickets are just $20 and includes a Famous Dave's barbecue sandwich, along with the sounds of classic Motown from our gang, and amazing raffle prizes, all for a great cause. Go to MidwestBBQ.org for more information and tickets, or get tickets at Ticketmaster. Don't miss the 2016 Midwest Barbecue for the Brave, helping to build smart homes for our American heroes.
How has Judicial Watch disgraced the Department of Justice? Let me count the emails at 6:06. Now let's check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Dan and Kristen, here are the stories we're following at this hour. Chicago Fire Department telling us just moments ago a 3-year-old child is dead, 3 others hurt, following a large fire on Chicago's south side near 81st and Essex. It is a traffic problem as well, too, as Jim Talamonte will follow up for us in our next half hour. One person is in custody after shots were fired at Chicago police. A suburban soldier stationed in Texas has died. Cubs downed the Padres last night, while the White Sox prep for the Phillies this evening. Mostly sunny with a high of 81 in Chicago. WIND Chicago News Time, 6 o'clock.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lisa Brady. Hillary Clinton's running mate firing back at Donald Trump, calling again for the Republican nominee to release his tax returns.
We cannot afford to be tricked by Trump.
Senator Tim Kaine at a Las Vegas event as Trump was in Ohio urging an independent probe of the Clinton Foundation. Fox Radio's John Decker live at the White House.
Republican Donald Trump attacked Hillary Clinton and her questionable relationship with the Clinton Foundation while she served as Secretary of State, arguing a special prosecutor should be appointed to look into the matter because he said the Justice Department cannot be trusted.
It has proven itself to be really, sadly, a political arm of the White House.
Trump suggested Clinton's actions at the State Department amounted to corruption, even suggesting Clinton was at the center of a racketeering scheme. Clinton and her campaign have denied any wrongdoing. Lisa?
Hillary Clinton also says her emails are boring, telling ABC's Jimmy Kimmel she's not worried about thousands more found during the FBI probe.
You're not concerned that there's going to be something that Donald Trump is able to use against you, that the Republicans, that comes in at the last second.
But he makes up stuff to use against him. So if he would stick with reality, I wouldn't have a worry in the world.
A federal judge telling the State Department yesterday to speed up its review of the newly uncovered emails. President Obama makes a visit today to flood-ravaged Baton Rouge that critics say should have been made sooner.
I think the effectiveness of the response thus far speaks for itself. And I think, frankly, it's the most effective way to answer any of the politically motivated criticism that the president has faced.
White House spokesman Josh Earnest, some 60,000 homes damaged and some were not in flood zones and don't have flood insurance. Russian athletes are even banned from the Paralympics in Rio, a sports court just upholding the ban as punishment for a state-backed doping program. You're listening to Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
This morning, 65 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A 3-month-old child is dead. 3 others hurt following a large blaze on Chicago's south side. It started early this morning inside an apartment building near 81st and Essex. Chicago Fire tells us one man injured is in serious to critical condition. One person is in custody after shots were fired at Chicago police. Someone began shooting at officers yesterday in the 300 block of West 105th. Police returned fire. No one hurt. An arrest was made following a search of the area. The head of the Chicago Police Union claiming the department violated due process of 7 officers who may lose their jobs.
These decisions are made in heartbeats.
So it's easy to play armchair quarterback when you see it over and over and over again.
Fraternal Order of Police President Dean Angelo. However, Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel is backing efforts of Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson to fire those 7 officers, as AM 560's David Stewart reports.
Superintendent Johnson wants to fire the 7 for covering up the teenager's shooting, allegedly by Officer Jason Van Dyke. Mayor Emanuel backs Johnson's move.
This is obviously an issue for the police department, and I have confidence in the process that the superintendent took.
He wouldn't comment, though, on whether the officer's supervisor should also be investigated.
I think the last thing I'm going to be cautious is the mayor speaking up about what other investigations should be done.
The head of the police union, meanwhile, says the department's denying the 7 due process by not providing details of the claims against them. David Stewart, NBC News Radio, Chicago.
Some Chicago senior citizens will receive a break on Mayor Emanuel's utility tax plan. The proposal expected to increase the average water and sewer bill by about 30% over the next 4 years. An investigation is underway after a West Suburban Army soldier stationed in Texas has died. Specialist Dion Shannon of Maywood was found unresponsive Friday in the barracks at Fort Hood. The 24-year-old had been on active duty since June of 2014. Cubs over San Diego 5-1, 3 home runs backing John Lester to a win. The news service of ADT, the security leader for over 140 years. Trust ADT to protect your home, family, and all you care about. When you have ADT security, it's more than a sign in your yard. It's a line in the sand. Visit ADT.com. 6:04, time to check the climate of your business with AirComfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Marxists, socialists, and communists forget the government doesn't have any money.
The Dave Ramsey Show.
Except money it took from someone who is producing money. Government creates no money. The only way the government has money is if it took it from one of us. And so the only way that it would have money to give these people is if it took more from the other people. Thus, Marxism, communism.
Dave Ramsey, weeknights starting at 7. Presented by Wintrust Community Bank on AM 560. The Answer.
Remember when you were a kid and you couldn't wait to be old enough to shave? Not anymore. For most of us, shaving is just another one of those joyless tasks on our daily to-do list. Overpriced blades, nicks, irritation, and of course, you always run out of something, which means shaving with a dull razor. That's gonna hurt. Sounds like it's time you tried Harry's, a company that believes shaving should be, well, less of a hassle, which is why Harry's makes getting quality shaving products convenient, and for a lot less money. A lot less. Because only Harry's ships directly from their own factory, which means no upcharging. And with Harry's, you can order online and get blades when you need them. Harry's is so sure you'll love their shave, they'll send you their popular free trial set, complete with a razor, a 5-blade cartridge, shaving gel, and post-shave balm for free. Just pay shipping. To claim your free trial set and post-shave balm, just go to harrys.com and enter code RADIO10 at checkout. That's promo code RADIO10. That's Radio10.
6:06. Let's get an update on the roads now. Guardian Security Services Traffic Center time. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On the southbound tri-state, a crash near the Stevenson has cleared. Traffic still a little heavy in that area, but all lanes are open. The delays are dissipating quickly. Northbound, it's stop and go from Roosevelt to the Eisenhower. 8094 is fine now after some earlier road work at Calumet Avenue and a crash at Torrance. Now 8094 looks good. The Edens is fine. The Kennedy inbound just a little congested out of the River Road toll. Outbound, it's fine. About Eisenhower, delays start at Manheim. 37 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 30. The Stevenson is 40 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 34. Ryan, 26 minutes, 95th to downtown. Traffic. Service of Aruba Tourism. How would you like one big, happier family? Take a break to Aruba. Voted one of the best family vacations in the Caribbean with accommodations to every family size and budget. Check out all the happy deals and offers at Aruba.com. Aruba, one happy island. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's meteorologist Holly Holdren.
We'll have mostly sunny skies today, high 81. More humid this evening with increasing clouds and a late night shower or thunderstorm around. Low tonight, 67. Mostly cloudy, breezy, and humid tomorrow. Couple of showers and thunderstorms, high 82. I'm Holly Holdren on AM 560 The Answer.
63 at O'Hare, 66 along the lakefront. Next news at 6:30. Continuous news coverage at 560theanswer.com, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Ayn Rand Institute and the Yaron Brook Show. Heard Saturday afternoons at 4 here on AM 560 The Answer.
Good morning. Welcome to your Tuesday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
I think Hillary's tired. I do.
Are you in good health?
Here, you take my pulse while I'm talking to you.
Okay.
A federal judge on Friday ordered Hillary Clinton to provide written testimony about her private server. Will she work to produce those answers and make them public before the election on November 8th?
When they're received, I know that the Secretary will get to work right away on answering them.
Minorities in America today clearly know that the Democratic Party is a party which is more representative of them than the Republican Party.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan, and in for Amy, Kristen McQuarrie of the Chicago Tribune editorial board, who brought granola bars instead of cinnamon rolls today.
Yeah, you are not happy about that.
Well, I mean, you create a certain expectation of goodness in the morning, and then you come in with granola bars.
I wanted to bring something healthy.
Yeah, I don't like it. Don't like it.
But you're still going to eat it.
I am going to eat it, just out of respect.
Right.
Yeah, you're welcome. So Hillary Clinton, 15,000 emails Hillary Clinton didn't turn over that the FBI discovered.
Oops.
Remember when she said how her attorneys went through? I mean, we've played this clip over and over again. This is Jim Comey with Trey Gowdy testifying for the House Oversight Committee. Trey Gowdy just going through it after Hillary Clinton had lied about her lawyers going through each of the emails, about them turning over all work-related emails. And, of course, both of those were lies. Jim Comey said they were lies. House Republicans are trying to put together a perjury case against Hillary Clinton. We'll see where that goes. But now, thanks to Judicial Watch, and really, how disgraceful is the Department of Justice? You have Judicial Watch doing all of the heavy lifting, doing all of the things the Department of Justice should do if we really had Lady Justice with the, what's the
crown?
No. The Lady Justice being blind. What am I thinking of?
Oh,
I don't
know.
The what do you call the thing around your
blindfold?
Blindfold.
Jeez.
Goodness.
You would be terrible at $10,000 pyramid.
I'll tell you, or Pictionary.
Or the media, too. I mean, Judicial Watch is a 501c3. It's a nonprofit. It is more conservative leaning. It is it considers itself, a watchdog of all sides. I mean, they went after George Bush's administration at one point, and some private energy meetings that Dick Cheney was having. They wanted minutes from those meetings. So they have been somewhat bipartisan. But they're just using FOIA. They're using laws in place.
Litigating the issue.
Litigating, true. But there are, that used to be what old media did and still does to an extent. But, the Justice Department and where's the media?
Yeah, and this lawnews.com's right up on this. Newly released emails provide strongest evidence yet of preferential treatment for Clinton Foundation donors. 725 new State Department documents were published yesterday, thanks to Judicial Watch, as we were discussing. 20 Hillary Clinton work-related emails, newly released, include an exchange between Clinton and Mrs. Carlos Danger, in which they discuss delaying the Secretary of State's charter jet to fit in a 15-minute meeting with billionaire businessman and contributor Danny Abram. Abram donated between $5 and $10 million to the Clinton Foundation. So, you delay your business as a Secretary of State so you can meet with the donor who then has particular interest. That's why he's meeting with you, and he buys access by making a $5 to $10 million donation to the Clinton Foundation. Danny Abram wants to talk to you about Israel, ideally before you see Lieberman, Abedin wrote to Clinton. The Lieberman in question is Israeli Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman, and that was 48 hours before Clinton was to meet with the foreign minister. And so, influencing foreign policy or getting an audience to discuss foreign policy because of a donation to the Clinton Foundation.
They're not connected, Dan. These people were donated to the Clinton Foundation because they believed in the mission of the foundation, and it's just strange circumstantial evidence that they also had some sort of business that they wanted the Clintons to address. The Washington Post has a couple other examples. A sports executive who is a major donor to the foundation and whose firm paid Bill Clinton millions of dollars in consulting fees wanted help getting a visa for a British soccer player with a criminal past. You have Bono.
Redundant.
U2 rocker and philanthropist Bono was also a regular at foundation events, and he wanted high-level help broadcasting a live link to the International Space Station during concerts. So you can see this is really, national security at risk type issues.
At least Bono believes in capitalism. And then, of course, so this one has been reported as well, too. This is very interesting. The Crown Prince of Bahrain, in tomorrow to Friday, asking to see Clinton. Good friend of ours, Abedin reminded Clinton, good friend, meaning he had contributed $32 million to the Clinton Foundation. That's what she means by good friend. And this other guy who emerges repeatedly is Doug Band, who is a top executive at the Clinton Foundation. And while, again, lawnews.com reporting, while Clinton may have signed an ethics pledge to avoid mixing State Department and Clinton Foundation business, the emails show her aides to have stepped into this area when necessary. So, there was overlap between the foundation and the Secretary of State's office when she was the Secretary of State. This is just obvious.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is obvious. And I think this is something that regular voters understand. The ability to pay a sum of money to get access, to gain influence, to get a meeting that regular rank and file people, the little guy, does not get to do. And this is probably, I don't know that she has said this or that this has come out, but isn't this why they set up the private server to begin with? She has claimed that, she got this advice, I think this came out yesterday too, from Colin Powell himself.
Oh,
at a dinner party, I believe.
Yeah.
That was his top piece of advice, was for her to have her own private account. But I even think he just meant have your own Gmail account. I don't think he meant have your own private server in your basement.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong.
No, that's right. And, oh, by the way, that conversation may be completely fabricated, much like her 1996 visit to Bosnia, where she took heavy sniper fire, and other fantastical stories told by Hillary Clinton. Former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice has no recollection of a conversation she was supposedly party to at this party in 2009, small dinner party that was hosted by Madeleine Albright, where Henry Kissinger and Condi Rice, as well as Powell and Hillary, were there. No recollection does Condi Rice that General Powell advised Hillary Clinton to use a personal email account. She is the second person to undercut Clinton's claim that Powell offered her. Henry Kissinger, Rice and Henry Kissinger were there to kind of, provide advice to Clinton with.
It was hazing. It was like a hazing ceremony. You know, they did they put her bra in the freezer and
right. She had to run the gauntlet through the paddle spanking and all of that sort of thing, to a keg stand. But yeah, so this claim is very much in question. By the way, even Joe Conason, who's a liberal reporter, a Clinton supporter, he writes in a book that he is set to publish next month that toward the end of the evening over dessert, Albright asked all the former secretaries to offer one salient bit of counsel to the nation's next top diplomat. Powell told her to use her own email, as he had done, except for classified communications, which he had sent and received via a State Department computer. So even if the conversation happened, Conason says it did, Condi can't remember it, even if it did happen, Conason, who's a Clinton apologist, said Powell distinguished between getting a private email and using your private email for classified communications, which is the crux of the issue.
Right. I mean, Powell said he was approached, I believe, last night somewhere. And I mean, he admits that they did have this conversation. He actually sent her a memo to detail what he did to kind of keep his private business from becoming public. But again, I think he says he made the distinction on classified issues. And also, I think he was just talking about a private email address.
Of course he was.
Not a server.
But this is what the Clintons do. This is the classic Clintonian parsing and being purposefully misleading. Purposefully misleading. It's like when Bill Clinton said, we never purposely did anything wrong. Oh, there's always a qualifier, or there's the purposeful misinterpretation of what somebody said to advance a lie, and that's what she did by referencing Colin Powell. He told me he recommended I use a private email, right? But even according to liberal supporters of yours, and according to Colin Powell, he made a distinction. But she doesn't offer the complete story; she offers half truths because she's an inveterate liar, and this is why, by the way, 2/3 of the country doesn't trust her. And it's why these issues are important to raise and re-raise as more information is unearthed, to remind people as they start going to the polls in places like North Carolina in just a couple of weeks that they shouldn't trust her. And that turns out to be a big issue because no matter what you want her to do or think she will do, you can't trust it because you can't trust her.
Well, and this distinction that somehow it was unintentional. We didn't mean to do this. There was no malice involved. Well, you know what? There was really no malice or intentional misconduct by David Petraeus, who provided classified information to his biographer, but he was indicted. I mean, he pleaded guilty to a federal charge of removing and retaining classified information. He wasn't trying to put national security at risk. He didn't mean to do it. He was, having a relationship with his biographer, and he shared information he should not have. How is that different than the claim that the Clintons are making over Hillary's?
It's less severe. That's the only way it's different. His transgression is not as great as her transgression. So Robbie Mook.
Are you ever going to just say Mook?
No.
Are you always going to add 7 O's?
The Dickensian named campaign manager for Hillary Clinton, he was on with Dana Bash on CNN because the issue now is, we're going to see all the emails? Because the federal judge, let's make with the review. Let's release the emails. We're going to see everything before the November 8th election. Here's Robbie Mook.
A federal judge on Friday ordered Hillary Clinton to provide written testimony about her private server. You're going to get the questions by October 14th, and you're going to have 30 days to answer them. So theoretically, you won't have to answer the questions until after the election. You were just talking about transparency and how transparent Secretary Clinton has been. Given that, in the name of transparency, will she work to produce those answers and make them public before the election on November 8th?
Well, as you mentioned, the judge has set a deadline whereby the group in question needs to submit those, and when they're received, I know that the secretary will get to work right away on answering them. But let's step back and look at the origin of all of this. The right wing and Republicans in Congress are not satisfied with the answer that the career professionals at the FBI and the Justice Department gave. They said there was no case here.
All right, so the vast right wing conspiracy is what this howdy doody flack for Hillary Clinton offers up, to kind of gloss over the whole disclosure issue. I'm sure, she will move on those emails.
She's going to get to work right away. That's what he said. She's going to get to work right away.
Well, within reason, of course. So don't look for anything forthcoming from the Clinton campaign while they're berating Donald Trump about transparency as it pertains to his tax returns. Don't look for anything approaching transparency from them on this matter.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Your forecast today, mostly sunny, high of 81. Tonight, some clouds, a possible thunderstorm. Tomorrow, cloudy, breezy, and humid. Also a chance of showers, so grab your umbrella. High of 82. Let's get a check of the roads with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Kristen. In Wadsworth, got a crash involving a dump truck. It's on the exit ramp from 173 to the southbound Tri-State. The ramp at the moment is open. Northbound on the Tri-State. Delays, Plainfield Road to 47th, then from the Reagan Tollway to the Grand Avenue curve. Eden's inbound getting a little congested approaching the junction. Outbound, it's fine. The Kennedy, 26 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. Outbound, 25. The Eisenhower, 45 minutes. Thorndale to the post office. Outbound, 35. Stevenson is now 46 minutes. 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan is a heavy 30 minutes. 95th to downtown. I-57, 16 minutes. I-80 to the Merrick. Bishoport, 18. Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Know that sound? That's the sound of trouble for CPAP users. Did you know that just one drop of water in your CPAP system can become a breeding ground for mold and bacteria? Breathe that stuff in and you're battling respiratory infections, allergy attacks, and more. But here's good news. SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. It's the healthier way to clean your system because it kills 99.9% of germs in minutes. For a limited time, you can try it risk-free for 30 days. Just call 1-800-400-9280. SoClean makes cleaning your CPAP a breeze. It's completely hands-free. Just pop in your mask, close the lid, and presto, your CPAP system is clean and fresh in minutes. Don't let one drop of water wreak havoc on your body. Call SoClean.com now for your risk-free trial while supplies last. 1-800-400-9280. That's 1-800-400-9280.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest-growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
If you think all banks are the same, it's time to think about Signature Bank Chicago. I'm Pete Olson, head of commercial banking at Signature Bank, where the people who own the bank operate the bank. Not in an abstract way, but in the same hands-on, personalized way that you run your business. We don't rely on a legion of business developers to find new relationships. We don't trust an outsourced phone bank to address your customer service needs, and we don't delegate decision-making to some anonymous credit committee that you'll never meet. We do everything we can to help you succeed, because if you don't succeed, we don't succeed. Call us today to see the Signature Bank difference.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey there, this is Eric Metaxas. Lately, I've been telling you about Liberty University's online degree programs. Liberty University is the world's largest Christian university with over 95,000 students studying around the world through Liberty's online programs. While there are a lot of universities who've jumped into online education, few can deliver on the promise of a quality education with such flexibility, and even fewer can actually point to a graduate of their online program like my friend Morgan from Nashville.
I did it. I actually got my degree from Liberty University. 2 degrees, actually. Not only has this process taught me self-discipline, I've also learned that it is never too late to fulfill your dreams. And I did it all online. I did it, and you can too.
Call Liberty University now at 800-424-9595. That's 800-424-9595, 800-424-9595, or visit liberty.edu/online. Flexible, affordable, possible. Liberty University Online.
Hey, you've heard how Automated Systems excels at assisting companies with systems integration and FDA compliance. But they're also a staffing leader. They supply handpicked elite leadership, subject matter experts, and proven technical professionals in engineering, quality control, and FDA compliance to support the life sciences field in executing mission-critical projects. ASI provides highly specialized pros to deliver projects on time and budget. Don't pay a lot more to a big consulting firm, and don't trust the big temp agencies to supply the talent you need. Call Laz, my friend Laz at Automated Systems, when failure isn't an option. ASI is retained by all of Chicagoland's Fortune 500 life sciences companies, from big pharma to startups, and excel through a culture of excellence in execution. For a staffing, compliance, or automation evaluation, call Laz now at Automated Systems at 844-HIRE-ASI or visit AutomatedSYS.com. That's 844-HIRE-ASI or AutomatedSYS.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
So,
Police.
What?
Police.
Oh, yeah.
I'm jumping in
Congratulations.
here.
What's the song?
Thanks. Don't stand so close to me.
Yeah.
Oh,
very nice. Nicely done. All right. So Trump is continuing to beat his personal best of number of days on the campaign where he's on message. And he was again yesterday. focusing on the Clinton Foundation?
Well, number one, they should shut it down. Number two, they should give the money back to a lot of countries that we shouldn't be taking and they shouldn't be taking money from. Countries that influenced her totally. And also countries that discriminate against women and gays and everybody else. I mean, that money should be it should be given back. They should not take that money.
And no, understand what the Clintons are trying to do, very much like Bill Clinton did in 1996, trying to run out the clock. You know, looking at, remember the foreign campaign cash scandal that surrounded Bill Clinton late in 96, the 96 campaign with Huang was his name, right? The Chinese national, John Huang, yes. And John Fund in National Review has a good piece on this today that, look, there's still WikiLeaks in addition to Judicial Watch. You're not going to get it from the D.C. press corps, but you may get it from these investigative bodies. And the ubiquity of the internet is something that the Clintons haven't had to deal with. And, you know, it makes it much more difficult to run out the clock like they did in 96. And Fund points specifically to Julian Assange, who told CNN a couple of weeks ago that he is going to stagger different batches of information they have around each of the three presidential debates to help frame some of the topics of those debates. Assange saying we have quite a lot of material from the DNC, from the Clinton campaign, and the Clinton Foundation. So the next 80 days, regardless of what 538 has right now in terms of who's likely to win and where some of the head-to-head polls are in battleground states, the next 80 days are going to be a lifetime, particularly for the Clintons.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of your previous mistakes? Relax and call Big Lou at Term Provider. Big Lou says if you're in your 50s in reasonably good health, a $1 million term life policy should only cost about $200 to $300 per month. Call Big Lou at 800-352-9239. Remember, Big Lou's like you, always looking and medicating too. Call 800-352-9239.
Paid non-attorney spokesman. Attorney John Sheehan, Los Angeles, is responsible for this content. This ad is not legal advice. Choice of lawyer should not be made solely by advertisement. Services may not be available in all states.
Have you had surgery in the last 10 years? Did your doctor implant a filter or umbrella to trap blood clots? Please call 800-888-8888 now. The IVC filter may move or break, causing serious injury. Please call Solino and Barnes now. 800-888-8888. IVC filter patients may be entitled to compensation.
800-888-8888. No matter what type of business you're in, having a strong business banking partnership can help your bottom line. I'm Jeff Boundy, president of Cornerstone National Bank and Trust Company. We strongly believe that trust, service, and relationship are the cornerstone of a successful business banking partnership. Customers like Rick Williams of Pump Supply agree.
Hi, my name is Rick Williams, owner of Pump Supply Incorporated. As a business owner, I recognize the importance of relationships. I need a bank that understands my business and is able to respond quickly and creatively to the needs of my company. Cornerstone has been a valuable business partner and has helped me grow my company and seize opportunities as I come across them. Whether it's providing a line of credit or financing the acquisition of equipment or real estate, Cornerstone has been there for me every step of the way.
Thanks, Rick. Please visit cornerstonenb.com, or I invite you to give me a call at 847-654-3000 to explore a business banking partnership.
Equal Opportunity Lender. Member FDIC.
AM 560. The Answer.
Is the government still stuck on stupid as it pertains to the response to the flooding in Louisiana? We're going to ask General Russell Honore, the author of a new book, Leadership in the New Normal, at 6:36. But now let's check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Sunshine, 66 degrees. Days of criticism from some, including Donald Trump, finally led President Obama to be in Louisiana looking at flood damage today. The president says he's eager to get a first-hand look. Nigeria's military said moments ago it believes an airstrike has fatally wounded Boko Haram leader Abubakar Shekau, among other commanders. But Nigerian security forces have at least 3 other times in the past declared they have killed or fatally wounded Shekau. Attorneys for Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl expected to argue in court today that Senator John McCain's public comments have hurt their client's case. State of Kansas is asking a federal appeals court to keep thousands from voting in November if they have not already supplied documents to prove they're U.S. citizens. Hillary Clinton poking fun at the rumors about her health, and Clinton also addressed more serious issues of thousands of new emails discovered by the FBI.
My emails are so boring.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm embarrassed about that. They're so boring. And so we've already released, 30,000 plus. So what's a few more?
On Jimmy Kimmel Live, also the Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump says a special prosecutor should investigate Clinton. A 3-month-old child is dead, 3 others hurt following a large-scale fire on Chicago's south side near 81st and Essex. An Illinois prison spokeswoman says an assault on 6 workers by 5 inmates at the maximum security Pontiac Correctional Center appears to have resulted from a failure to follow workplace safety procedures. A federal appeals court says early voting in Wisconsin can continue. A U.S. district judge in July struck down a host of Wisconsin election laws, including early voting limits, but he refused to stay other parts of his ruling, including a request to stay the photo ID credentials, which will stay in place while another panel reviews the case. Cubs over San Diego 5-1. Cubs bash 3 home runs, backing John Lester to the win. The news, a service of TrueCar. If you're ready to buy a new car, download the TrueCar app. Just configure the new car you want, see what others paid for it, and lock in guaranteed savings from TrueCar certified dealers. It's that easy. Save time and money and download the TrueCar app today. 6:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher points out the many differences between Trump and Hillary.
Make no mistake about it. Hillary Clinton wants to punish people who have had financial success. Donald Trump does not. Trump wants to make the business community have more breathing room, have less onerous regulations and taxes. Hillary Clinton does not. But of course, people are all caught up in what the latest bombastic thing Donald Trump said and getting on that whole bandwagon.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Remodel your kitchen with Galaxy. Buy 1 cabinet and get 1 free with free financing and design services. Call 773-783-8300.
This is Michael Medved for American Federal Rare Coin and Bullion. If you own gold, silver, or platinum, or you're thinking about getting into the market, buying the wrong coins could cost you 30 to 50% of your investment right up front. American Federal has been advising and helping clients buy and sell rare coins and bullion for nearly 35 years. On August 25th, American Federal is offering a free seminar at the Doubletree North Shore Conference Center in Skokie, where they'll share vital market information that could be critical to your investment portfolio. You'll learn how to take advantage of the newest trends in the rare coin and precious metals markets, and how to avoid paying too much. Precious metals IRAs, you'll learn about that, and how to ensure that your coins are 100% liquid and always easy to sell. You'll also receive a complimentary on-site coin performance review. I had it done. It's really informative and important. That's August 25th, 12 to 3 p.m. at the Doubletree North Shore Conference Center in Skokie. Seats are limited. Call 1-800-221-7694. That's 1-800-221-7694, AmericanFederal.com.
It is 6:36. Let's get an update on the roads now. Guardian Security Services Traffic Center time. Here's Jim.
Thanks, Mike. It's a bit heavier than normal on the Ryan this morning. 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Slow pretty much all the way in. I-57 is 22 minutes. I-80 to the merge. Bishop Ford 20. The Edens, 22 minutes like Cook to the junction. Outbound 19. The Kennedy, now 33 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 25. The Eisenhower is an hour from Thorndale to the post office. Really jammed from Wolf to past Harlem. Outbound 40 minutes. The Stevenson is 46 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 34. Northbound Tri-State delays are from Harlem to 87th, Archer to Ogden, Reagan Tollway to the Grand Avenue curve. Traffic is a service of ADT. ADT, the security leader for over 140 years. Trust ADT to protect your home, family, and all you care about. When you have ADT security, it's more than a sign in your yard. It's a line in the sand. Visit ADT.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Sunny and 81 today. Clouding up overnight, more humid and a thunderstorm possible. Low 67. Currently 63 at O'Hare. Next news at 7, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next with Kristen McQuarrie of the Chicago Tribune editorial board joining us this morning on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Business Insanity Radio Show with Barry Moltz, Sunday nights at 11. It's all about getting your business unstuck and moving forward.
See Alan West and Michelle Malkin at Freedom Summit Chicago 2016. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com.
Good morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, Chicago Tribune editorial board member Kristen McQuarrie. Kristen, you have young ones in school.
I do.
Yeah. What grades are they in?
4th and 5th. They start tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. And they are in the local public school?
They are in our Catholic school.
Oh! Good for them.
Yeah. Faith-based education's the way to go.
Does the Catholic, I agree with that. Does your Catholic school, is it similar to the Catholic school for boys in Little Rock, Arkansas, that is rejecting the soft failures of young men? It's Catholic high school for boys, Little Rock, Arkansas, has a sign in the doorway reminding parents of one of the school's most important policies. Quote from the sign: "If you are dropping off your son's forgotten lunch, books, homework, equipment, etc., please turn around and exit the building. Your son will learn to problem solve in your absence." What about that, helicopter mom McQuarrie?
Okay, so if it's high school students, that's fine. I could see it for elementary students as well. But I mean, like my kids sometimes get anxiety if they forget a homework assignment, or we worked on something all night and they left it on the kitchen table. So I have dropped off things at school. It doesn't happen very often. I haven't done, they can survive without a lunch and people will share and if they forget that. But homework assignments, I will run them up to school.
Welcome to Catholic High. We teach reading, writing, arithmetic, and problem solving. The high school's principal: many teenage boys are prone to hitting the default switch when problems arise. The default switch is calling mom or dad to come fix it. And we're asking that the default switch be removed from a situation like this so that a boy has to think through how he will solve it. They refer to these things as the soft failures, and the school's posture is that not holding them accountable for their soft failures is important in molding them to be responsible adults.
You know what worked for me in my public school? In 6th grade, I kept forgetting to bring The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe book to school for reading. So my teacher made me write 100 times, "I will not forget my Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe book. I will not forget." And I didn't. So see?
Instead,
public schools are tough too.
She should have made you read the collected works of C.S. Lewis.
Well, we were reading it, but
No. The collected works. Not just that. The collected works. I want a 3,000-word essay on Mere Christianity on my desk by 9 a.m. tomorrow. That would have been the appropriate response.
That's mean. I was in 6th grade.
Well, what about this? I mean, to some extent, you'd have a problem. And thinking about Catholic schools in Chicago, in the infamous formulation of Monsignor Michael Boland, head of Catholic Charities, we teach non-Catholics because we're Catholic, not because they are, right? Explaining the Catholic mission. And in Catholic schools in the Arch, in Chicago Arch, many of them are primarily African American. Many of them are primarily non-Catholics. And so it's just kind of interesting because this statement by the principal of this Catholic school in Arkansas, we're asking kids think a little deeper when it comes to something that they have forgotten to do. Think a little deeper than calling mom or dad. Well, many of these neighborhoods where Catholic education is prevalent and kids are on scholarship to get to a better school, it's, you only got a mom or a dad, and frankly, most likely only a mom or a grandmom. Mm-hmm. And that's part of it too.
That's true. And we grew up in an era where you didn't have cell phones where you could get rescued. You just had to make do. So that makes sense that in a traditional school environment, they want to kind of get back to basics and make kids figure it out because, that does create responsibility.
The sad thing is in Chicago public schools and so many public school systems in urban centers, many, many kids in high school will not be able to read the sign that's posted at this Little Rock, Arkansas high school. Oh, is that over the top? Is that hyperbolic?
Yes, it is.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
What is the state of K through 12 education in Chicago?
Well, if we're talking about Catholic education, I'm thinking
I'm
of
not talking
like,
about Catholic education.
Okay,
I'm
so
talking
you were
about,
talking about the sign hanging in the Catholic school. So
yes,
I thought we were talking about,
if you put this sign
Catholic
in a
high
public school.
Okay.
If you put this sign in public schools, I'm not kidding. The percentage of children.
If it's written in a 4th grade level, they'll be fine.
Well, right, for high schoolers.
Right.
So that, I guess, is your commentary on where Chicago public schools find themselves. And it's real. I mean, it's backed up by the data. It's backed up by the experience. It's backed up by people in the system who will tell you quietly what's actually going on, the challenges they have, and how far behind these kids are. And these are the death spirals. And so when does this kind of demand for accountability that doesn't cost any money? This isn't about per pupil funding. This is about character building. And it seems to me one of the things that is often lost in the debates we have about K through 12 education, particularly in these failing systems like CPS, is let's just talk about the curriculum. Let's talk about something that doesn't take an extra dime. Let's talk about character formation in school. Yes, it happens in the home. And yes, parents are primarily responsible. But teachers and your institutions of learning have a substantial material impact on a child's intellectual development and their character formation. So why shouldn't that be part of the curriculum?
Well, it should be.
In a secular sense, even.
Right. Well, of course.
Informed by Christianity.
I mean, there are some really successful Chicago public schools. Let's just say I have one in my neighborhood. But there's a lot of parent involvement. You don't have as many kids who are, suffering from poverty in my side of the south side where I live. But I also think you should be looking to models like the Noble Charter School Network, which has much better graduation rates, a waiting list, by the way, of about 600 kids. I was in that office maybe a year and a half ago, and I watched a father walk in and try to put his daughter on the waiting list for that charter school, and she was going to be number 620 or something.
Right.
So there is a demand for schools that do character development. They sort of got in trouble at one point because they were fining kids. You got charged $5 if you wore the wrong uniform, and people thought that was, too stringent or something. But the results speak for themselves, and the parent involvement speaks for itself, and the waiting list speaks for itself.
What charter schools citywide? It's north of 15,000 people waiting to access a charter school, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that number has been sort of disputed, but it's somewhere between 9,000 and probably 19,000. But you have the public school system continually fighting charter schools as if they are, they don't want the competition. And
how many people are on the waiting list to get into Fenger? The waiting list to get into Corliss on the south side, where these things are like, bombed out former schools that have a fraction of the student body population they had just 20 years ago.
Right. I was at not too far from Robeson High School in Englewood not too long ago. The whole the whole top floor is basically boarded up because they don't even have the student population. Right across the street is a charter school. Guess what CPS is trying to do to the charter school? Close it down.
Right.
Close it down. So I've been so disappointed even with Governor Rauner coming up on 2 years in office, year and a half. The constant backward motion that we keep going in terms of school choice. We are not even making progress. We're going backwards. We still have bills in the legislature all the time to make it more and more difficult for charter schools to operate, to make them look more like public schools, which defeats the whole point of the charter school movement.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, charter schools is a way station, right? I mean, real school choice is not centrally planned. Real school choice is schools competing for students, and that's not what charter schools do. So it's an important innovation, and it provides some competition, but it's hardly the last stop on the road to reform, real structural reform. And there is also an idea out there that's gotten broad bipartisan support. It doesn't get talked about enough, and that's this tax credit concept that's been floated to provide individuals and corporations with the opportunity to contribute to a scholarship fund. And those scholarship dollars would be attached to children to choose the school they would like to choose. And this is essentially what happened in Florida under Jeb Bush. and it blew up. I mean, it blew up in a good way. I mean, it blossomed into more money than they ever thought they would raise, kind of always beating their annual projections. And so that meant thousands and thousands of children that had scholarship opportunities so they could get out of bad schools and go to schools that they wanted to go to that would be better for them. It's something interesting happened politically, too. And that's Rick Scott in his reelection. Rick Scott increased his percentage of the African-American vote by 12 percentage points in his reelection. Why? Because of the scholarship program that was started under Jeb and continued under Rick Scott, where Charlie Crist, remember that scumbag that he was running against, he was beholden to the teachers union. He said, I'm going to undo that tax credit. I'm going to undo school choice. And all those families who were benefiting and their kids were benefiting from those scholarships and those opportunities to go to a better school, they said, the hell you are. We're voting for the Republican. We're going to do something we don't normally do and vote for the Republican, because this was disproportionately African-American families who were the beneficiaries, and super great.
And it was private money. So it got around all the constitutional restrictions that you see in other states where there is this question, and some school choice programs have been struck down because you're using public money. This is all private money.
Yeah, but
they still struggle, though. They still have gone through numerous court challenges in Florida.
Supreme Court's ruled on it. Zellman versus Hardin-Simmons, the Cleveland school choice case. As long as it is parent-directed, not and provided through the individual student, they're making a choice. Then it's the same thing we do at the collegiate level with GI Bill money. It's attached to you. You can take your GI Bill money anywhere you want to go. It's real simple. And the tax credit is simple, too.
But look how far away we are from that in Illinois.
Well,
that's why I bring up we can't even talk about real school choice, because we're still trying to dismantle charter schools, which, like you described, is kind of a baby step toward school choice.
Yeah, well, that's has everything to do with the political balance of power and all these emoting Democrats who are so self-congratulatory about their compassion for their fellow man and prop up systems that destroy people's lives. Every single Democrat. You vote for a Democrat in this state, I don't care who it is. You vote for a Democrat in the General Assembly or the city of Chicago, then you are a co-conspirator to destroying the lives of families, disproportionately minority families. Deal with it. That's the reality on the ground, period, the end. Neil in Burr Ridge, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Neil.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Hey, thanks a lot. Good morning. I've seen this woman speak. We actually homeschool, and some people in the homeschool community get kind of an attitude how great they are. And this woman speaks at these conferences and talks about how about parental involvement is the main driver, regardless of parents' education, regardless of parents' income. It's the time spent with the parents, and whatever you can do to increase that is going to greatly help your children. That's the only point I wanted to make.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Neil. There's no question about it. I have a friend, actually a mutual friend, 5 kids at a Catholic school in River Forest, yanking them, going to homeschool.
Really?
Tired of it, tired of Common Core, tired of the unfortunately, social justice Catholics that allow their schools to be infected with kind of public school orthodoxy, yanking them.
Wow.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Your forecast today, mostly sunny, high of 81. Tonight, some clouds, humidity, and a thunderstorm is possible. Tomorrow, again, high of 82, breezy, humid, and a possible of showers. Let's get a check of the roads with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Kristen and Dan. Well, that travel time keeps rising on the inbound Eisenhower. It's now an hour and 10 minutes from Thorndale to downtown. No crashes or roadwork. It's just heavy. Starting around North Avenue, it's 53 minutes from Manheim to downtown. Outbound 48 minutes to Thorndale. Eden's 26 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose. Outbound 21. Delays on the spurs start at Waukegan Road. At Kennedy, 37 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 35. Stevenson, now 58 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. 45 from the Tri-State. Outbound 40 minutes to 355. Bryan's heavy, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown, northbound Tri-State. Stop and go, 111th to the Hinsdale Oasis, and from the Reagan Tollway to the Grand Avenue Curve. Adams Tollway heavy, 59 to Higgins, Roselle to 53, after the Tri-State out of the Kennedy. Reagan Tollway delays, the Fox River to Eola, and Highland to Midwest. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
I'm Lou Dobbs. We'll have the latest on the housing industry. Valiant names a new chief financial officer. Those stories and more next.
Bill Bennett here to tell you about Augusta Precious Metals. What if you could store your IRA or 401k where you can see, touch, and hold it in person in the form of physical gold and silver coins? I know I would, and you can't do that with stocks. With the Augusta Gold and Silver IRA, you can transfer retirement savings into physical coins and store them where you can actually see them. Free shipping, zero management fees, and Augusta pays all upfront costs. Getting started is absolutely free. Rated A+ with the Better Business Bureau, enjoys a 98% 5-star customer satisfaction rating with TrustLink.org. Trust Augusta. Call toll-free 1-855-222-6993 now for your free guide to Augusta Gold IRAs. Call toll-free 1-855-222-6993. That's 1-855-222-6993 or visit AugustaPreciousMetals.com.
The Commerce Department reports on July's new home sales today. The National Association tomorrow reveals the number of existing homes sold in July. A controversial decision. A U.S. national security panel has cleared the purchase of Swiss agrochemicals giant Syngenta by China National Chemical Corp. The $43 billion acquisition still requires approval from antitrust regulators in the United States and other countries, but if completed, this would be the biggest foreign acquisition by a Chinese company ever. Valiant Pharmaceuticals replacing its CFO, Paul Herendon, takes over the post immediately. Valiant faces a host of ongoing investigations and class action lawsuits because of its strategy of buying smaller drug companies, then hiking the prices of the drugs that those companies make. Join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
My name is David Hochberg, Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. Billy wanted to contact a realtor before purchasing a home in Arlington Heights. Bad move. Not getting pre-qualified by me before talking to a realtor is like skydiving without a parachute. I pre-qualified Billy to purchase a home and introduced him to Donna Sattler, my preferred Arlington Heights realtor. If you're purchasing a home, call me first. I'll pre-qualify you for free and introduce you to my experienced team of preferred realtors who will help you locate the perfect home. My team of real estate experts will always look out for your financial best interest. If you're buying a home, give me a call now at 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. I've helped thousands of AM560 listeners, but I can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage and Equal Housing Lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage License 4358, RMLA, NMLS 19186.
Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity. What could be a watershed moment in Donald Trump's campaign was not his statement of contrition for his all-too-often juvenile ad hominem forays. Rather, it was his explicit appeal to black families in Milwaukee and across the country whose lives have been decimated by predatory big government policies that foster dependency. I'm asking for the vote of every African-American citizen struggling in our country today who wants a different future, said Trump. Red Rovering people over is the beginning. If you want people to come to your party, you have to invite them. And if you want people to stay, you have to frame the choice before them. Trump did exactly that, improperly referencing the bigoted policies of the left designed to create a would-be ruled beholden to would-be rulers. Trump argued that the purposeful deprivation of the Great Society is directly responsible for the need to make America great again. Hillary and her comrades know that the most assured way to turn someone into a reliable Democrat voter is to make them a de facto ward of the state. Thus, the choice in our urban centers: live an independent life or exist as a subservient Democrat.
You always listen to AM 560, The Answer. You've heard all about Turnkey IT, Chicagoland's leading IT service provider for small business. Turnkey provides world-class support and customizable plans for businesses with 5 to 100 users. And with some of Turnkey IT's programs, you get all new equipment, free security, and antivirus protection. Sound great? Then why haven't you called Turnkey IT? There's really no excuse. Turnkey IT is setting you up with their best offer yet. Through the summer, all AM 560 listeners receive their first month of service for just $1. Your business will receive comprehensive coverage, including unlimited help desk and online support, network hosting, and antivirus protection its first contracted month for just $1. Ready to make the switch? It's easy. Visit turnkey.pro now. That's turnkey.pro. and tell them AM 560 The Answer sent you. Get ready to focus on the important things of your business and leave the technical stuff to the pros. Visit turnkey.pro today.
I have actually been on Balance of Nature for a year now. I have MS, and I recently had an MRI. This is the first year that I've had a stable MRI, so I'm thrilled. When I have an MRI with MS, usually there are glowing spots that come through, which is damage on the nerves in my brain and my spinal cord, and when they're glowing, it means they're active. And then my last MRI, they pulled it up, and I honestly couldn't believe that it was my MRI. There was nothing glowing. And in fact, the dark spots were shrinking. They were healing. And the doctor actually said to me, I think we're in remission. I was so happy. I had no idea that that could be my reality.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code CHICAGO.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. They'll also keep you cool this summer with temporary air conditioners for any situation, big or small. Call 630-834-6000. That's 630-834-6000 or charlesequipment.com. charlesequipment.com. Reserve now for summer festival season.
At 7:07, Lieutenant General Russell Honore on the flooding in Louisiana, and 7:17, Texas upholds concealed carry on campus. We need that here in Illinois to protect against faculty at our universities, because we employ terrorists here like Bernadine Dorn and Bill Ayers and James Kovar. But now let's check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Dan and Kristen, here are the stories we're watching right now. An investigation continues on the south side. A 3-month-old child is dead, others hurt, following a large blaze at 81st and Essex. Park Forest police are searching for suspects following a standoff. Suburban soldier stationed in Texas has died, and the Cubs down the Padres. A mostly sunny day is ahead. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lisa Brady. The devastation is overwhelming in flood-ravaged Louisiana.
It's hard kind of seeing your entire life out on the curb, like all of our clothes, furniture, everything is gone.
President Obama heads to Baton Rouge today. Fox Radio's John Decker live at the White House.
The president's trip to Baton Rouge is aimed at assuring the many thousands who've suffered damage to their homes and businesses that the federal government has made their recovery a priority. White House spokesman Josh Earnest said the president has ignored the criticism leveled at him for not making the trip sooner.
I can tell you what the president's been focused on is the response on the ground and the people whose lives in Louisiana have been turned upside down by this terrible flooding event.
The storm and its flooding have damaged an estimated 60,000 homes and forced thousands to seek temporary housing. Lisa?
John, Donald Trump postponing a speech on his immigration policy.
You know, we inherited his schedule, and although I think it's a great idea to have that kind of speech and certainly put together a full plan, immigration is such a complex issue, and Mr. Trump has been taking the counsel of many different people on this.
The new campaign manager Kellyanne Conway denies Trump is changing his approach on immigration. He says he'll enforce the law.
First thing we're going to do, if and when I win, is we're going to get rid of all of the bad ones. We got gang members, we have killers, we have a lot of bad people that have to get out of this country.
Trump also saying African Americans would be able to, quote, walk down the street without getting shot if he's elected. The Clinton campaign says he's doubling down on insults, fear, and stereotypes. Hillary Clinton pushing back on any question of her physical fitness to be president, calling it part of a wacky strategy. Also telling ABC's Jimmy Kimmel she's not worried about what's in thousands of newly uncovered emails.
We've already released, 30,000 plus, so what's a few more?
This after a judge ordered the State Department to speed up its review. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Skies are sunny. We have 62 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A 3-month-old child is dead. 3 others hurt following a large fire on Chicago's south side. Blaze began early this morning inside an apartment building near 81st and Essex. The young victim died at a nearby hospital. One man at this moment is listed in serious to critical condition. There may be others missing inside that large courtyard apartment complex. Park Forest police are searching for burglary suspects after a standoff in the south suburbs. Officials say multiple people robbed a home yesterday before fleeing into a nearby dwelling. SWAT teams surrounded that house for several hours, then decided to enter. No one was found inside, but authorities did recover some of the property taken. Mayor Rahm Emanuel backing efforts of the police superintendent Eddie Johnson. Fires 7 officers connected to the Laquan McDonald police shooting. AM 560's David Stewart has the latest from City Hall.
Superintendent Johnson wants to fire the 7 for covering up the teenager's shooting, allegedly by Officer Jason Van Dyke. Mayor Emanuel backs Johnson's move.
This is obviously an issue for the police department, and I have confidence in the process that the superintendent took.
He wouldn't comment, though, on whether the officer's supervisor should also be investigated.
I think the last thing I'm going to be cautious is the mayor speaking up about what other investigations should be done.
The head of the police union, meanwhile, says the department's denying the 7 due process by not providing details of the claims against them. David Stewart, NBC News Radio, Chicago.
An investigation is underway after a West Suburban Army soldier stationed in Texas has died. Specialist Dion Shannon Servant of Maywood was found unresponsive Friday in his barracks at Fort Hood. The 24-year-old had been on active duty since June of 2014. Cubs over San Diego 5-1, 3 home runs for the winners last night. The news is service of ADT. ADT is the security leader for over 140 years. Trust ADT to protect your home, family, and all you care about. When you have ADT security, it's more than a sign in your yard. It's a line in the sand. Visit ADT.com. 7:04, time to check the climate of your business with AirComfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
It's back. The biggest conservative event in the Midwest returns this October. It's Freedom Summit Chicago 2016, October 29th in Itasca, featuring Alan West, Michelle Malkin, Mike Gallagher, Stephen Moore, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Joe Walsh, and many more. Tickets start at just $29. Order your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Dr. Amy and Associates, the Federal Savings Bank, and by Combined Sales.
Remember when you were a kid and you couldn't wait to be old enough to shave? Not anymore. For most of us, shaving is just another one of those joyless tasks on our daily to-do list. Overpriced blades, nicks, irritation, and of course, you always run out of something, which means shaving with a dull razor. That's gonna hurt. Sounds like it's time you tried Harry's, a company that believes shaving should be, well, less of a hassle, which is why Harry's makes getting quality shaving products convenient. And for a lot less money. A lot less. Because only Harry's ships directly from their own factory, which means no upcharging. And with Harry's, you can order online and get blades when you need them. Harry's is so sure you'll love their shave, they'll send you their popular free trial set, complete with a razor, a 5-blade cartridge, shaving gel, and post-shave balm for free. Just pay shipping. To claim your free trial set and post-shave balm, just go to harrys.com and enter code RADIO10 at checkout. That's promo code RADIO10. That's Radio 10.
7:06. Let's get an update on the roads at our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The eastbound Eden Spur has delays starting at Waukegan Road, and it's 26 minutes Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 22. The Kennedy, 37 minutes O'Hare to downtown, 20 from Montrose, 15 on the Express. Outbound 35 minutes to Montrose, 51 to O'Hare. The Eisenhower's an hour and 10 minutes Thorndale to the post office, 53 minutes from Manheim. Outbound 48 to Thorndale. Stevenson, 58 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 42. Bryan, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown, northbound Tri-State. Stop and go 111th to the Hinsdale Oasis, and Roosevelt to the Grand Avenue Curve. Eastbound Adams Tollway slow 59 to Higgins, Roselle to 53, and Toohey to Kennedy. Reagan Tollway slow from the Fox River to Eola and Highland to Midwest. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here is our meteorologist, Holly Holdren.
Mostly sunny today, high 81. More humid tonight with increasing clouds and a late night shower or thunderstorm around, low 67. Cloudy, breezy, and humid tomorrow, couple of showers and thunderstorms, high 82. I'm Holly Holdren on AM 560, The Answer.
62 at O'Hare, 67 degrees along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Steve Beeman Show with co-host Carol Parisi, empowering you Sunday evenings at 8, right here on AM 560.
Good morning. Welcome to your Tuesday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
I think Hillary's tired. I do. Are you in good health?
Here, you take my pulse while I'm talking to you.
Okay.
A federal judge on Friday ordered Hillary Clinton to provide written testimony about her private server. Will she work to produce those answers and make them public before the election on November 8th?
When they're received, I know that the secretary will get to work right away on answering them.
Minorities in America today clearly know that the Democratic Party is a party which is more representative of them than the Republican Party.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Well, and in for Amy, I should mention, Kristen McQuarrie, Chicago Tribune editorial board. And Kristen, last week or so, we've spent a lot of time talking about the floods that have ravaged Louisiana, 40,000 people displaced from their homes, the number of rescues in the thousands, obviously the resources that need to be devoted to that area again. And this becomes a political topic because of the nature of the president attending or not attending to the needs of Louisiana residents, as well as what candidates do for president in response to the devastation that has been wrought on Louisiana again. And, of course, this harkens back to Katrina, right? And so you've heard the Katrina comparisons. And the question, I suppose, is specifically if we're still stuck on stupid in terms of the federal government response to these, and federal and state government response to these natural disasters, because you'll remember there actually was some accountability because of the poor federal, state, local response to Katrina. Ray Nagin went away, and then he went away. Kathleen Blanco, the governor, she went away. And George Bush took a lot of political heat, suffered a loss of a lot of political capital for how the federal government responded as well. But a man who emerged during that crisis as the antithesis of the leadership qualities exhibited by some of the other politicians was Lieutenant General Russell Honore, who was the commander of the Joint Task Force in Katrina, and uttered that infamous phrase, now stuck on stupid. And we're happy to have General Russell Honore join us now. His book, Leadership in the New Normal. General Honore, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. How are you this morning, man? Hello, Chicago.
Good morning. Raging Cajun, so, feel free to be as colorful as you want. We understand it. The response to the flooding in the last week in Louisiana, compare that to what you experienced when you were on the ground trying to coordinate the response to Katrina. And do you see lessons learned 10 plus years later?
Well, Katrina had the drama of a hurricane, and it took a few days to approach. So by the time Katrina landed, much of the national media was already hit, Dan, as you recall.
Right.
And the hurricane got a lot more national attention before it even hit ground. But I must say this, it's been a hard competition over the weekend of this flooding event because there's an unnamed storm, and it's the primary weekend of the Olympics. And on top of that, we never made page one because we didn't, the old term, if it bleeds, it reads. We never made front page or top story, even though the numbers of people affected is still, we're still correcting. It was 110,000 homes that has been underwater.
Wow.
281,000 people evacuated, and 7,300 businesses underwater. And we're still counting because we still have flooding as of yesterday of new areas. So it's been a continuing cascading effect as this floodwater tried to flow south toward the Mississippi River and get backed up into wetlands. And unfortunately, a lot of those wetlands, we put subdivisions over the last century, and that amplifies the problem. So there are similarities, but there are many differences between disasters, and this one was slower, and it took over a week. We were still evacuating people.
What do you make of the local authorities have come under some fire because they never issued a hurricane warning because this wasn't a hurricane. It didn't have the characteristics of a hurricane, but they did try to warn residents for the days leading up to it. Do you feel like local authorities gave enough notice and warning of what was coming?
I think, Christian, the Weather Service predicted the amount of rain that they predicted was going to fall. What we hadn't had is that amount of rain fall in that particular area. Since we've done the amount of construction we put there, we put 2 interstates there. We put multiple subdivisions up and down that area. So this is a complex area that heretofore, when I went off to the Army 40 years ago, people used to go hunting in that area. Now there's subdivisions out there. Because Corps engineers have allowed people to build inside wetlands. It's no fault of the people who owns underwater, because people went in there thinking, well, if they allowed us to build here and the subdivisions here, it must be safe. So we're going to have to go back and look at that infrastructure because it put too many people at risk in an area that's traditionally known to be a wetlands.
And we should note you're still down in the Baton Rouge area, right? That's where you live?
I live in Baton Rouge. I moved back in 2010.
Are you involved in any substantial way with the response to?
Yes, I am.
And what are you doing specifically?
I deal with the Red Cross. I'm a board member, and I've been in a shelter, the Celtic shelter, the largest one. At one point in time, last Sunday, we had 3,000 people in, and we still have people in that shelter. And they're 14 hours a day working with the Red Cross and other volunteers to take care of our citizens.
Talk to us a little bit about kind of the psyche of residents when you're going through this, because according to some of the weather authorities, they made all kinds of warnings, at least a dozen advisories, warning about the flooding, asking people to evacuate, and still people try to stay in their homes and run out the storm. What's going on in the minds of residents when they don't want to flee and they stay?
Well, I think people put storm nutrition in context. We had a storm here in 1983, and at the time it hit, it had, and the impact it had at that time, people would say, well, that was the high water mark. And we survived 83, and it was the worst that ever been recorded, so we should be able to survive this one. And people are very attached to what they have in their homes, you can only imagine. And that being said, with the first responders, with the help of all of them working together along with the Cajun Navy, we were lucky to only lose 11 people after, with the total number of 110,000 homes underwater. That was a remarkable effort. But it happened over a weekend where we had a lot of people that was watching and had the flexibility to come and help. So on one side, it was very bad. On the other hand, it was lucky it was on a weekend when we had so many people sitting watching and came to help do the rescue.
You mentioned in terms of not making the front page because of the bleed it leads, the body count isn't high enough, the competition with the Olympics and other events that are going on nationally and internationally. Some people have also suggested that the profile of most of the victims is different than the profile of the victims, most of the victims in Katrina, specifically their race. Do you think that has anything to do with the coverage or lack thereof?
No, sir, I don't think so. I mean, most of the people that died in Katrina were elderly, disabled, and poor. I don't think, in my heart, I don't think that was much to do with it. I do think the media was very posed on the political candidates and what was the last stupid thing they said or did, and that's where they wanted to be over the weekend. Right. And then we had these idiots who came back from Brazil who, whether they got robbed or not, Monday, in the height of people in the shelter, when the national news we thought showed it would put their eyes on them, we were arguing about two old boys who come back from Brazil, whether they were robbed or not. And the national media was standing outside their homes. I was very discouraging because that is at a point in time when people who help solve these issues, which are volunteers and people who donate to these great disasters, would be paying attention and making decisions on how they were going to help the survivors. Well, the front page of the news was relatively stupid stuff.
Right.
So
what about...
Then the discussion turned to a presidential candidate who came here last Thursday on whether the president should have come early or not. So it's never really been on the survivors and the amount of damage because most of the press still don't get the numbers right on how many people and the amount of damage we've taken.
Yeah, you're right. I hadn't heard the 110,000 number until you and the 7,300 businesses until you mentioned it. That's much bigger than the numbers I've heard. So it's I'm glad you mentioned it. To talk about your book, the book is Leadership in the New Normal. What is the what is the new normal?
Well, I think this generation of people that will shape the rest of this century will have an enormous opportunity to make things better. At the same time, it's a great challenge as we go from 7 to 10 billion people. There are some enduring issues such as water. Future wars will be over water, not oil. We got less clean water today than we had yesterday, and we'll have less clean drinking water tomorrow than we had today. And the impact of droughts in major parts of the world where we've got an expanding global population and less land, arable land to raise crops on, that we know in the next 50 years we're going to have to raise at least 40% more crops than we are raising today to sustain our population. So the new normal is every generation of substance has a great challenge. When I was coming out of high school, that great challenge was Vietnam. So when my dad was a young man, it was World War II, and my great-grandpa, it was World War I. This is our new normal. We have to figure out how we're going to solve the issues of this expanding global population and take care of the people that are in this world today. You know, 2 of every 7 people in the world, they don't have electricity in their home, as well as about 1.5 of every 7 don't have clean water in their home. So we have a large block of have-nots in the middle of this 7 billion people that are prospering. And that creates frictions around the world. And as populations continue to grow, what it described for us in this new normal is we're going to have to figure out how we are going to close the gap between the haves and the have-nots and solve the challenges associated with expanding global population.
All right. He is Lieutenant General Russell Honore. The book, Leadership in the New Normal. General Honore, thanks so much for joining us. Pleasure to speak with you, and good luck down there dealing with all of the damage that has been wrought by Mother Nature.
And we need help from Chicago, just like you did after Katrina. The hospitality and the warmth of coming down and helping people fix their homes and fix our schools. In some of our parishes, over half the schools are underwater. And the kids can't start school on time. So it's a major loss. Thank you so much for caring.
General Honore, thanks so much. And General Honore joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Your forecast today, mostly sunny, high of 81. Tonight, some clouds, more humidity, and a possible thunderstorm. Tomorrow, cloudy, breezy, and humid. Couple of showers and a high of 82. Let's get a check of traffic with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Kristen and Dan. CTA elevated trains are stopped in the loop near the library stop due to some mechanical issues. The Edens runs 25 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose outbound 27. The Kennedy 40 minutes. O'Hare to downtown outbound an hour and 5 minutes. The Eisenhower's an hour and 20 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, an hour 5 from Mannheim. Outbound 50 minutes to Thorndale. Stevenson 58 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 42. Ryan 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. See delays on the northbound Tri-State 115th to 75th from the Stevenson to 31st and Roosevelt to Grand. Veterans Memorial very heavy now from Boughton most of the way to Roosevelt and Army Trail to 290. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
There's so many families in the Chicagoland area that cannot afford regular dental care. We take for granted our regular routine cleanings, but for many children and families, it's an added expense that's not in the budget. Yet oral health care impacts self-esteem and the ability to work, which is why the Chicago Dental Society Foundation Clinic is committed to improving the oral health in our communities. I'm Lauren Feldner, speaking to you on behalf of the caring dentists of the Chicago Dental Society, who have addressed this issue by providing free basic dental services at the Chicago Dental Society Foundation Clinic, which is located in DuPage County. At this clinic, we treat and educate patients and their families for free. We help them experience good oral health care. Our clinic is staffed with all volunteer dentists who depend on the generous support of donors to provide these services to Cook, Lake, and DuPage counties. Please help keep our free dental clinic open. Donations can be made at cdsfound.org. That's cdsfound.org. On behalf of the dentists of the Chicago Dental Society, thank you for your support.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, Joshi, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Mark Weingart, President and CEO of Star Creations, Inc., the fastest growing supplier of wall decor products in the U.S. When it comes to banking, I don't want to be a small fish in a big pond. That's why I bank at Signature Bank Chicago. At Signature Bank, every customer is important. I know I can pick up the phone and talk to any one of the decision makers I know and trust at Signature Bank. At Signature Bank, they understand and respond to the unique needs of my business with flexibility and fairness. I'm proud to bank with Signature Bank because I know they're deeply invested in the success of Star Creations.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and in for Amy, Kristen McQuarrie, Chicago Tribune Ed Board, and Kristen, since General Honore brought it up, Ryan Lochte. Ryan Lochte's 4 corporate sponsors dropped him yesterday, including Speedo.
Ooh, ouch.
That clears the way for me to be the Speedo spokesmodel again.
Oh, come on.
I know you're thinking about it right now. You're envisioning that.
That's why I have a stomach ache.
Exactly. Honore is right about the obsession with the story. The USA Today has an extensive independent investigation of the Lochte incident in Rio, where they took photos of the bathroom in question, and they found that the soap dispenser is not vandalized and the mirror is not vandalized. So maybe Lochte was telling the truth. Who cares? Don't care. But I do care about this. You know how stupid you think Ryan Lochte is right now?
Yes.
And you know how biased you know the D.C. press corps to be. For example, the Ryan Lochte incident, they're talking about, Ryan Lochte and Trump, and Ryan Lochte's probably a Trump supporter. They're just manufacturing this connection to Trump. He behaved like Trump would behave in a bathroom in Rio or something. It's ridiculous.
I think it was a HuffPo article, opinion column or something. What do you want to bet that he's a Trump supporter? I mean, come on.
That passes for informed commentary.
I doubt that Lochte even knows there's an election going on. I'd place my bets there.
Point of order, in terms of trying to answer the question, how dumb is Ryan Lochte? Plumbing the depths of his stupidity. In 2012, the same Ryan Lochte told the Wall Street Journal, I've been going nonstop left and right. I haven't had time to watch the news. I've got to catch up on that. But, Obama did great the past 4 years, so I'm kind of leaning towards him.
See, he's got some depth. Obama did great. Obama did great.
And that's why we're called The Answer, because now you know the answer to how dumb Ryan Lochte is.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Michael Medved here for American Federal Rare Coin and Bullion. For nearly 35 years, American Federal has specialized in liquidating non-performing coin portfolios and turning them to gold, silver, or platinum bullion. If you're not properly invested, you could be losing money and missing out on substantial opportunities. On August 25th, American Federal is offering a free seminar at the DoubleTree North Shore Conference Center in Skokie, where they'll share vital market information that could be critical to your investment portfolio. You'll learn how to take advantage of the newest trends in the rare coin and precious metals markets, how to avoid paying too much, precious metals, IRAs, and how to ensure that your coins are 100% liquid and easy to sell. You'll also receive a complimentary on-site coin performance review. Now that's August 25th, 12 to 3 p.m. at the DoubleTree North Shore Conference Center in Skokie. Seats are limited. Call 1-800-221-7694. That's 1-800-221-7694. Or go to AmericanFederal.com. That's AmericanFederal.com.
Oh, I love my SolaTube. So simple that it's genius. In only 2 hours, it transformed the darkest room of my house. Now, you've heard me talk about SolaTube and this amazing technology. Here's how it works. There's a small roof dome which captures sunlight. Then a super reflective tubing transfers that sunlight into brilliant daylight that fills your room. Again, it takes 2 hours to install, and they clean up, and you'll never even know that they were there. And there's a lot of beautiful options to choose from, and it's affordable. The natural lighting truly brightened my home, and it seems so much bigger. So I highly recommend you brighten your home with natural light using SolaTube daylighting systems. Call my friend Katie at Chicago Skylight Pros, that's a SolaTube premier dealer, for your free consultation. Call Katie at 844-789-SHINE, S-H-I-N-E, SHINE. Mention me and receive $75 off your first Solotube. That's 844-789-SHINE or visit ChicagoSkylightPros.com to see the video and the amazing before and after pictures. That's ChicagoSkylightPros.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
REO Speedwagon.
Oh, nice. Yeah, sure. He's starting to pick up the pace. I like it. Coming up, you've heard of no tiki, no laundry. How about no budget, no pay? That's at 7:37. But now let's check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Clear skies, 65 degrees. And a developing story we're monitoring in the newsroom this morning. Authorities looking into the possibility that ISIS may have inspired an attack in Virginia. The FBI probing what agents think might have attempted, and it might have been an attempted beheading over the weekend in Roanoke, Virginia. Witnesses say the attacker yelled Allah Akbar, according to several witnesses, before running away. Later, 20-year-old Wasil Farouque was arrested when he showed up at a nearby hospital after the attack. Donald Trump says a special prosecutor should investigate Hillary Clinton.
After the FBI or Department of Justice whitewashed Hillary Clinton's email crimes, they certainly cannot be trusted to quickly or impartially investigate Hillary Clinton's new crimes.
Speaking at a rally in Ohio, the Republican presidential nominee saying the relationship between the State Department under Clinton and the Clinton Foundation is an example of a racketeering operation. Meantime, Hillary Clinton is having some fun with rumors about her health.
Back in October, the National Enquirer said I would be dead in 6 months.
Oh, wow. Oh, boy.
So with every breath I take, I feel like it's a
You have a new lease on life.
Yeah,
Clinton
a new
on
lease on life.
Clinton on ABC's Jimmy Kimmel Live. The president travels to Louisiana today to see the state's historic flood damage. President Obama says he's eager to get a first-hand look. A 3-month-old child is dead. 3 others are hurt, and others are missing and presumed dead following a large fire on Chicago's south side. Blaze broke out early this morning in an apartment building near 81st and Essex. Chicago sports last night. Cubs were winners in San Diego 5-1. Cubs hit 3 home runs to back John Lester to the win. The news is a service of ADT. ADT, the security leader for 140 years. Trust ADT to protect your home, family, and all you care about. When you have ADT security, it's more than a sign in your yard. It's a line in the sand. Visit ADT.com. 7:34. It's a check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
The Dennis Prager Show.
Virtually every democracy in the world requires an ID before voting. The left likes to compare America to Europe. Well, in Europe, you show an ID when you vote. Who the hell is this judge to tell North Carolina how to set its election unless it violates the Constitution? How does it violate the Constitution to ask for a voter ID? There's a preview of the future if Hillary Clinton wins.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Remodel your kitchen with Galaxy. Buy one cabinet and get one free with free financing and design services. Call 773-783-8300.
If you're serious about selling your home, now's the time. Supply is low, and it's a great seller's market in many Chicagoland neighborhoods. Now, I've done the research, and along with my Salem radio colleagues, Dennis Prager and Michael Medved, we all recommend that you call Saul. Saul Z and the Z team are so good that if they don't sell your home in 59 days, they'll sell it for free, guaranteed. Saul is ranked 106th out of 1.2 million agents by the Wall Street Journal. His proven marketing system is so effective that he sells on average a home every single day, attracting multiple full-price offers. Now, that demand helps sell your home fast at the highest price. It's a no-brainer. If I was selling a home in Chicagoland, I'd definitely call Saul. 888-346-0666 or call Saul, SAUL.net. Call Saul.net or 888-346-0666. You'd better call Saul.
7:36 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here is Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Mike. On the eastbound Adams Tollway I-90, it's very slow, 31 to 53, and then jammed Arlington Heights Road to before the Tri-State. There's a crash in the left lane. The other tollways are heavy, too. The Kennedy, now 40 minutes O'Hare to downtown. Outbound, 40 minutes to Montrose. An hour and 5 minutes to O'Hare. Aiden's 25 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 27. The Eisenhower, an hour and 20 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, outbound 50 minutes. Stevenson, an hour, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 45 minutes. Ryan, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Traffic is a service of Biota Botanicals. Biota Botanicals Advanced Herbal Care Collection. Safe and effective, Biota is a worldwide favorite when it comes to combating thinning damaged hair. Visit BiotaUSA.com. That's BIOTA USA.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Sunny and 81 today. Clouds on the increase overnight, more humid, a thunderstorm in spots, and a low of 67. Currently 63. Next news coming up at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next with Kristen McCreary from the Chicago Tribune editorial board joining us this morning on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Market Overdrive with Carla Mina, a power hour of real estate trends, secrets, and advice. Heard every Saturday afternoon at 1.
See Alan West and Michelle Malkin at Freedom Summit Chicago 2016. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com.
Peter Gabriel,
Yeah, what's the song?
Salisbury Hill.
Oh, boy, you're kind of on a roll. That's like 3 in a row.
Yeah.
It's impressive. So, Kristen McCreary of the Chicago Tribune editorial board, keen observer of state government and commentator on the Brobdingnagian problems facing Illinois. Yeah, you like it, don't you?
Put away your
Can't-
thesaurus.
Yeah,
Put it
Peter
away.
Gabriel. What's that reference? Brobdingnagian. What's the reference?
I don't know.
It's a literature reference.
I don't know.
Gulliver's Travels.
Oh.
Yeah, it's one thing to pull Salisbury
Okay.
Hill. It's another thing
I'll
to
just
pull
stick
Gulliver's
to the
Travels.
music. Okay, I'll just stick to the music.
So Mike Madigan crawled up from Middle Earth yesterday in Springfield to entertain questions from the Springfield Press Corps. Not something he does routinely. He had a lot to say about Governor Rauner, about the record of the Democrat Party. What do you think the record of the Democrat Party in Illinois is, particularly over the last 3 decades of Madigan's lordship? Here's what he thinks.
Work to raise wages and the standard of living, not to work in the opposite direction. That's been the policy of the Democratic Party since 1933, and it hasn't changed this year. So, again, for middle-income people in America, working people in America, for the vulnerable in America, they know that the Democratic Party is their party, and they're prepared to support that party.
Hey, middle-income people and working people and vulnerable people or families who have family members that are vulnerable in the sense that they rely on some level of state support through no fault of their own. Think of the developmentally disabled. Democratic Party, your party? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 646-368, turnkey.pro text line. Mike Madigan have it pretty well sussed out, does he?
I would question to those middle-class taxpayers that he likes to talk about as being his constituents, how they feel about, being responsible now for $110 billion in unpaid pension fund liabilities or $8 billion in unpaid bills plus interest. All of that is coming out of your paycheck. How about the fact that the state can't make its constitutionally required obligation to be the primary funder of public schools, so it falls to your property taxes in case you're wondering why your property tax bill is so high? And how about the school funding formula that punishes you based on, your zip code, basically? How do you feel middle-class taxpayers about that? Is he representing you in not changing a formula that everyone knows is fatally flawed?
Well, the problem is we're going to have to broadcast this show in Tennessee and Florida and Arizona to get the answer from middle-class or middle-income families who used to be in Illinois and are no longer here. But I'm told by Steve Brown, Mike Madigan's spokesman, interview I did with him last week, that the whole Exodus thing, he'd like to see a real longitudinal study on the Exodus from Illinois. I think that's a little bit overblown as well. Things aren't as bad. Not as many people are as you think, as we talk about. Not as many people are leaving as some would suggest. despite the fact we lose a congressional seat every census. I don't know how that's happening. Well, other states are just growing more rapidly. Well, yeah, they're growing more rapidly with our expatriates. But, okay. It's just, there's a lot of blame to go around, and things could be better, and we're working on it. Mm-hmm. That's the response to everything. There's a lot of blame to go around. We'll take our share of the blame, the people in charge, very generously. We'll take their share of the blame, the people who have been charged for generations and generations and generations.
Mm-hmm. How about all the corporate welfare that has moved through the General Assembly over the past 12 years when Democrats had singular control over all three branches? When CME Group and Sears and Mitsubishi and Motorola and all these were those Republicans who pushed those proposals through, or were they led by the Democrats because they're the ones in charge and that's who the corporations go to? Those were Madigan, Cullerton proposals. Who was the last person to propose a reduction in the corporate income tax rate? Mike Madigan. So let's let's look at both sides of this. Who ushers through special sessions, bringing all the lawmakers back to help CME Group? Regardless of what you feel about a tax break for them at that time, they held a special session for them. Special session to pass a budget? Nope.
That's the past. Mike Madigan is living in the present, and you need to get up to speed because the real issue right now, present day, real time, is that Einhorn is Finkel and Finkel is Einhorn.
You have to understand that Rauner is Trump. Trump is Rauner. They're connected at the hip. They're two peas in a pot. Rauner will try to run away from Trump, but I don't think the people of Illinois are prepared to let that happen. I think the people of Illinois clearly see that Illinois should stand against the extremism of Trump and the extremism of Rauner. And I think they'll do that in the general election.
Other than giving lots of money to Democrats, what do Rauner and Trump have in common?
I don't know, because Rauner has not endorsed Trump, didn't go to the convention in Cleveland because he's not a fan, has said that repeatedly, didn't meet with Trump at any point during some of his swings through the state. So, this is just... Mike Madigan is successful when he tries to connect Republicans to unpopular people, and that's what he's going to do with Trump this next election cycle.
It's funny. I mean, Hillary Clinton's pretty unpopular, too, particularly in a lot of these target legislative districts, and Republicans don't seem to have the appetite to do the same thing. Why is that, I wonder? Why is that?
I don't think she's terribly unpopular here.
Oh really?
Yeah, I don't.
You want to look at swing legislative districts outside of Chicago Metro? She's wildly unpopular.
So how far outside Metro?
It doesn't matter. This is a numbers game. The point is that in the Quad Cities or in southern Illinois, some districts in central Illinois, Trump is up on Hillary Clinton by 25 points in those districts, districts that are held at the legislative level by Democrats. So Madigan wants to connect Rauner to Trump, where Trump is unpopular in some suburban districts. Why don't Republicans do the same with Hillary Clinton, where she's equally unpopular in different parts of the state?
Well, maybe they will.
No, they're not.
They're not. Maybe it's a mailer to hit your mailbox in the next
No. It's
month
not.
and a half.
Where's the Republican saying what Madigan is saying about Trump, saying it about Clinton? Saying that, you support Gary Forby or you support John Bradley. John Bradley is Hillary Clinton and Hillary Clinton is John Bradley. I mean, seriously. I mean, so why does it work for Democrats to play that game and it doesn't work for Republicans?
I don't know. Maybe they should try it. It certainly worked in the primary in just about every race where Madigan connected an incumbent to Bruce Rauner. Even some of these reform-minded Democrats who were backed by groups like Stand for Children and who support school choice, they got linked to Bruce Rauner, and it worked. I mean, many of them lost their races because he is deeply unpopular in some of those Democratic strongholds.
I think the albatross stuff doesn't work really that well. I think it's exaggerated, the impact. I think the reason that it works better against Republicans than it does Democrats is because Republicans run and Democrats don't. So many Republicans are content to take a position rather than make an argument. And the only way you start changing people's minds that have been beholden to one perspective for so long is to make arguments, present information, and make the case. And rinse and repeat making the case rather than rinse and repeating the same tired comparisons, the same cliched political rhetoric about extremist this and extremist that. By the way, Mike Madigan also said, this individual, Mike Madigan, said that Rauner, clearly part of Rauner's plan is to underfund social services. That's what Mike Madigan said. 24,000 families on the PUNS list. These are developmentally the families with the developmental disabled person waiting for services from the state. In other states, including our Midwest neighbors, there is no wait list. They just provide the services they promise to provide to those they say they're going to provide them to. That's
and
not
the
case.
providers get paid in 30 days, not 6 months.
6 months at best. Right. That's true. And this has been going on for decades, like the decades Mike Madigan has been speaker. And for this person, Mike Madigan, this Cornish Democrat, Mike Madigan, this licentious leprechaun who's lorded over the state thanks to your votes for your local Democrat state legislators. And that's really responsible. You vote for a Democrat state legislator anywhere in Illinois, anywhere. And you're voting for Mike Madigan, and you're voting for this. You're voting for using disabled children as cannon fodder, as human shields for a big government agenda from which they derive no benefit. While they wait, you have Madigan and others line their pockets while these families and their disabled children wait in line. So I want to, probably won't hear from any Democrats because they're pansies. But if there's Democrat, call in, because I'm telling you right now, any vote for any Democrat is a vote to treat disabled children as means to the ends of lining the pockets of the Chicago Democrats in charge of this city and this state for the last half century, in the city for a century. And there's no two ways around it. It's scummy. And you're complicit. And Republicans, too. Republicans who are cowardly and won't stand up for families, won't stand up to Madigan, won't stand up for anything. They're part of it, too. You're co-conspirators in destroying people's lives, in, frankly, doing some of the most deplorable things to people who need help the most. You can be self-congratulatory about your emoting all day long. You're a co-conspirator in treating disabled children and others badly. You're not a good person. Not a good person. Let's go to Chip in St. Charles. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
It doesn't work for Republicans because Republicans don't work, Dan. I'll back up just what you just said. The Republicans are nothing but Democrat light in this state, and it's not that much lighter. They're about the same thing. They just hope to sit in the corner and hope not to be noticed, instead of fighting the battles that should be fought. And Republicans in this state are just tired of it. I can vote for Donald Trump, and Hillary Clinton's still going to win this state because the Republicans won't even consider this state as a battleground.
Well, but you know what?
It up.
Well, thanks for the call, Chip. I mean, some points about Republicans and their fecklessness over the years. I agree. I've been in it for 20 years, but I wish Republicans would stop making predictions about what is or is not possible. Just stop being a prognosticator and just do what you think is right. You may turn out to be wrong. You may, you never know when there's going to be the watershed moment if people work for what they would like to see happen rather than just predict what they expect to happen as a means to, not meaningfully participating. Oh, here's a co-conspirator and treating disabled children badly. John from Mundelein.
Hi, Dan. It's interesting that you don't see any parallel between Mr. Rauner and Mr. Trump, but Rauner is a classic silver spoon, fat cat, millionaire businessman who decided he should just run for the governorship one day so that he could push the idea that if we just keep cutting taxes for rich people, it'll help the middle class. Really, the only difference between him and Donald Trump politically is that he set his sights lower, where Donald Trump has decided the first public office he should ever hold is commander-in-chief. So really, he's maybe slightly less ambitious than Donald Trump.
And so, John, when you vote for Democrat candidates up there in Mundelein and at the statewide level in Illinois, you're cool with treating disabled children as cannon fodder for a big government agenda from which they receive no benefit, right? You're cool with falling in liege with Madigan and Cullerton and the destruction of this state over the last 40 years, right? Is that right?
That's a pretty broad question.
Is it
What
right?
I'm not in favor of, Dan, is pretending that if we just keep cutting taxes for rich people, it's going to help the middle class.
Excuse me, John. Excuse me, John. The taxes haven't been. We have the fifth highest tax burden in the country in Illinois. Go ahead, raise taxes more. We've raised taxes. We've borrowed. We've spent. And where do disabled children find themselves? You scumbag. You apologist for stealing from disabled children, John from Mundelein. You piece of human garbage. That's what you are. And I'm sick of listening to this nonsense and the cliches from hacks in this state, including Republican hacks. We listen to all this crap from people, from all of these politicians, and you console yourself like you're so caring for the little guy, John from Mundelein, and horrible human beings like you, and real people are treated badly, and you're a co-conspirator where you want to talk about tax cuts for the rich. You're a joke. You're a joke. Ron from Des Plaines.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Krista. How you doing?
Good.
Dan, I just want to make a comment on voting for the Democrats. Hey, I'm just casting my vote because I'm going to vote for the Democrats because the Republicans got in, they blocked everything this man tried to do, and now...
What the hell are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? You moron. See ya. Mark in Plainfield.
Well, how do I follow that up, Dan? You're on a roll. I should just let you talk more, but you got it exactly right. We got to fight back on these Democrats and their ridiculous ideas. Everything is, if you oppose them, you're a bigot, sexist, homophobe, xenophobe, et cetera, et cetera. If Madigan's going to link Rauner to Trump, let's link him to crooked Hillary. And how many politicians are like Hillary and Madigan who have used government to enrich themselves? We all know the Clinton Foundation needs to be audited by the IRS. They only give 10% of whatever they bring in the charity. Someone should be auditing Madigan and see how much money he has made as with his position in Illinois. And I guarantee you it's billions.
No
if
kidding.
not indirectly, it's for his friends and family.
Thanks for the call, Mark. And no kidding, the millions he's made as a property tax appeals attorney while he writes property tax law. It's a joke. And here's something else. Stop protesting politicians. Don't even bother. You know what you should do? You should find John from Mundelein, people who know John from Mundelein. You should find Ron from Des Plaines. You should be protesting outside their house. We get the representation we deserve. And it's about time the John from Mundeleins and the Rons from Des Plaines were held accountable like the politicians that they elect.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Your forecast today, mostly sunny, high of 81. Tonight, some clouds, possible thunderstorms, low of 67. And tomorrow, another warm day, high of 82. Let's get a check of the roads with Jim Talamonte.
Well, Kristen and Dan, it's a real mess on the eastbound Adams-Tollway I-90. First with heavy delays, 31 to Barrington Road. Then it's really jammed. Arlington Heights Road to before the Tri-State. The crash blocking 2 left lanes. Northbound 294 is heavy, 115th to 75th. From the Stevenson to 31st and Roosevelt to Grand Avenue. Reagan Tollway stop and go, 31 to 59. Naperville to Yackley and Myers to the Tri-State Veterans Memorial slow. Fountain most of the way to Roosevelt. Army Trail to 290. The Edens is 21 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 33. Kennedy 50 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound an hour 13. The Ike an hour and 15 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, outbound an hour 10. Stevenson to the Rhine, very heavy as well. Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Text from 847, don't let these dumb nicks get you angry. Yeah, it's about time somebody got angry. We're ruled by these Jacobin thugs, including the voters like John from Mundelein and Ron from Des Plaines. It's about time somebody got angry rather than just going along with all this stuff. Give me a break. Is overseas uncertainty making you a dent in your portfolio? Making a dent in your portfolio? Is your bank telling you that everything's going to be okay? You don't need to feel like your finances are spiraling out of control. It's time to take a different approach with Online Trading Academy. They'll teach you how to navigate the stock market during these changing times and prepare you for future market fluctuations. Online Trading Academy certified instructors teach you a rules-based strategy where you'll trade on knowledge, not speculation, so you'll be able to identify market changes before they happen. Reserve your seat today for a free half-day training course at their state-of-the-art education facility in Lombard. Call now, 877-682-2442. Mention AM 560 and you'll receive a free home video study course valued at $247. Call now, 877-682-2442.
And now, a moment of objectivism with your Ron Brook and the Ayn Rand Institute.
Have you ever heard the phrase, money is the root of all evil? Philosopher Ayn Rand had the opposite view. She argued that money is the root of all good. She stood up for the value of money because, in her words, wealth is the product of man's intellect. Today's standard of living with our computers, cell phones, and life-saving medicines far outstrips the wildest dreams of the past. All this wealth had to be created by individuals, and money is what enables production. Money is your means of survival, a character in Ayn Rand's most famous novel, Atlas Shrugged, warns. The verdict you pronounce upon the source of your livelihood is the verdict you pronounce upon your life. From the Ayn Rand Institute, I'm your Ron Brook.
This has been a moment of objectivism from the Ayn Rand Institute. To learn more, listen to the Yaron Brooks Show, Saturdays at 4 on AM 560, and visit ariradio.com.
Why are Ayn Rand's ideas so compelling? Her worldview, her philosophy, expressed dramatically in her novels Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead, embodies the ideals stated by the Founding Fathers in the Declaration of Independence and sets forth the requirements necessary to achieve a flourishing life. She called her philosophy objectivism and said it was a philosophy for living on Earth. Today, decades after her death, objectivism continues to stir debate and inspire passion for the spirit of individualism and the enduring American dream.
Dan Proft here. Gentlemen, when it comes to your health, do you know your number? You may know your blood pressure and cholesterol numbers, but do you know your testosterone number? I know my number thanks to my friends at Low T Center. They made it easy. I walked in, took a simple blood test, got my results in minutes. If you've noticed a decline in energy, stamina, or libido, you may have low testosterone. Low T levels make you feel tired and grumpy, can raise your cholesterol, and even cause weight gain. At Low T Center, treatment is covered by most health insurance. So, guys, do yourself a favor and do what I did. Find out what your number is. Call Low T Center now at 630-409-4305. Tell them Dan Proft sent you. That's 630-409-4305. Again, the number 630-409-4305. Or visit them online at lowtcenter.com. Coming up at 8:08, we talked to author J.D. Vance, author of the new book Hillbilly Elegy. And it has particular impact in terms of that Trump electorate that could determine the race. Are hillbillies passé? We talked to J.D. Vance at 8:08, but now let's check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Here are the stories we're following at this hour this morning. One person in custody after shots were fired at Chicago police. A deadly fire on Chicago's south side began early this morning in an apartment building near 81st and Essex. A highly unusual traveler is leaving Chicago's O'Hare International Airport today. Cubs downed the Pirates last night thanks to some home run hitting and a nice outing on the mound. White Sox take on the Phillies later today. A sunny forecast for today, a high of 81 degrees. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lisa Brady. President Obama heads next hour to southern Louisiana, where widespread help is needed to recover from deadly flooding.
It's going to be a huge financial burden on many, many people, with or without insurance, with or without help from FEMA.
Some 60,000 homes damaged, along with thousands of businesses and many schools. The White House says criticism that the president should have gone sooner is political and that the federal response speaks for itself. Laid word that a U.S. service member has been killed in Afghanistan. Another American and 6 Afghan soldiers wounded. The Pentagon says their patrol hit an improvised explosive device. A fight over voting rights and citizenship in Kansas goes to a federal appeals court today. Fox Radio's Jeff Manasso, live at our Midwest Bureau.
Lisa, the 10th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Denver begins hearing arguments today over voter eligibility and people who the state of Kansas contends haven't properly supplied documents to prove that they're U.S. citizens. Many states allow people to register to vote while renewing their driver's licenses using minimal information, but Kansas requires citizenship paperwork like a birth certificate. A federal judge in May temporarily blocked the Kansas law that state officials say could affect as many as 50,000 potential voters in November. Lisa.
Thanks, Jeff. Hillary Clinton set to call for a small business tax cut today after downplaying concern about thousands more emails uncovered in the FBI probe.
I think I'd be distraught if we didn't have FaceTime. I really
you do that a lot?
All the time.
Have you considered using FaceTime instead of email?
Clinton telling ABC's Jimmy Kimmel her emails are boring. The campaign says it supports the release of any more work-related emails that can be released. Also, again, denying wrongdoing between the Clinton Foundation and State Department as Donald Trump calls for a special prosecutor to investigate that. You're listening to Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
Skies are sunny. We have 66 degrees. It's 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 2 children and 1 adult have been killed in a large fire on Chicago's south side. Chicago Fire Department telling us the blaze began around 1:30 this morning near 81st and Essex. The young victim died at a nearby hospital. 1 person is in custody following shots fired at Chicago police. Authorities say someone began shooting at officers yesterday in the 300 block of West 105th. Police returned fire. No one was hurt. A suspect arrested following a search of the area. Park Forest police are searching for burglary suspects following a standoff in that south suburb. Multiple police robbed a home yesterday in the 100 block of Hemlock before fleeing into a nearby home. SWAT teams surrounded that house for several hours before deciding to enter. No one was found inside, but some of the property stolen was recovered. The head of the Chicago Police Union claiming the department violated the due process of 7 officers who may lose their jobs. Fraternal Order of Police President Dean Angelo says officers have not been informed how they lied. It's tied to the investigation into the death of Laquan McDonald. An investigation is underway after a West Suburban Army soldier stationed in Texas has died. Specialist Dion Shannon Servin of Maywood was found unresponsive Friday in the barracks at Fort Hood. The 24-year-old had been on active duty service since June of 2014. And a highly unusual traveler is leaving Chicago's O'Hare Airport today. Her name is Trix. She is a 66-million-year-old Tyrannosaurus Rex. Her 10,000-pound skeleton was unearthed in Montana in 2013. She's now headed to a museum in the Netherlands. Cubs over San Diego 5-1. The news, a service of 7-Eleven. Chill out this summer at 7-Eleven. When you get an ice-cold Big Gulp, you'll get a free one-day Redbox movie rental. This refreshing deal will not last long, and it's only at 7-Eleven while supplies last. Subject to additional terms, charges apply for additional nights. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat. From the Fox Business Network, a service of Turnkey.pro, here's Jenny Casola.
From the Fox Business Network, one of the executives accused of misleading the government in the lead up to the 2008 financial crisis has settled with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Former Fannie Mae chief executive Daniel Mudd denied doing anything wrong. As part of the settlement, Fannie Mae will contribute on Mudd's behalf to a Treasury Department account. Volkswagen is facing pressure from governments and investors around the world to make settlements for its emissions cheating scandal, similar to the $15 billion agreement in the U.S. The Wall Street Journal says the company is still arguing it was not violating local rules. Apple is expanding its healthcare business. Fortune says it's buying health records company Glimpse, which allows you to archive your medical information so your doctor can access it. The Dow is down 23 on Monday, NASDAQ up 6, S&P down a point. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Jenny Cosola.
It's 8:05 in Chicago. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Rowe here for 1 hour. Today, Chuck is jogging in place to make a point about energy efficiency.
I thought I was training for a marathon.
He's been at it now for...
3 minutes.
And already he's wearing out.
I'm not.
Your heating and air conditioning systems are a lot like Chuck.
Warm yet somehow cool.
Wheezing, wasting energy, and probably headed for replacement.
You're talking about the air systems, right?
Sure, pal. Sure. Call 1 hour before it's too late.
Can you do the disclaimer for me?
Each independent franchise is licensed in its respective state or county.
Thanks.
Remember when you were a kid and you couldn't wait to be old enough to shave? Not anymore. For most of us, shaving is just another one of those joyless tasks on our daily to-do list. Overpriced blades, nicks, irritation, and of course, you always run out of something, which means shaving with a dull razor. That's gonna hurt. Sounds like it's time you tried Harry's, a company that believes shaving should be, well, less of a hassle. which is why Harry's makes getting quality shaving products convenient. And for a lot less money. A lot less. Because only Harry's ships directly from their own factory, which means no upcharging. And with Harry's, you can order online and get blades when you need them. Harry's is so sure you'll love their shave, they'll send you their popular free trial set, complete with a razor, a 5-blade cartridge, shaving gel, and post-shave balm for free. Just pay shipping. To claim your free trial set and post-shave balm, just go to harrys.com and enter code RADIO10 at checkout. That's promo code RADIO10. That's Radio10.
At 8:07, we want to update you on a developing story on the south side of Chicago, where Chicago police have just told us now 4 have died in that fire at a Chicago apartment building. And police say that fire appears to have been deliberately set after a domestic dispute. We'll have more details on this as they become available. For now, let's head into the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. And here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. And the scene of that blaze remains blocked off Essex Avenue between 79th and 81st. It's slow going on the inbound Kennedy and getting slower with a stalled truck near Kimball in the right lane. 52 minutes and rising. O'Hare to downtown. Outbound, it's an hour and 13 minutes to O'Hare. Eden's 22 minutes, Lake Hook to the junction, outbound 43. The Eisenhower is an hour and 15 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, outbound an hour 10. Stevenson, an hour and 20 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 50 minutes. Ryan, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound, so 132 to 137. Northbound, 115th, most of the way to 31st, and Roosevelt to Grand. Adams Tollway, a mess, 31 to Barrington, then Gulf to before the Tri-State, crash in the left lane. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Here's our meteorologist, Holly Holdren.
We'll have mostly sunny skies today, high 81. More humid this evening with increasing clouds and a late night shower or thunderstorm around. Low tonight, 67. Mostly cloudy, breezy, and humid tomorrow. A couple of showers and thunderstorms, high 82. I'm Holly Holdren on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently 64 at O'Hare and along the lakefront 68 this morning. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
Good morning. Welcome to your Tuesday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
I think Hillary's tired. I do.
Are you in good health?
Here, you take my pulse while I'm talking to you.
Okay.
A federal judge on Friday ordered Hillary Clinton to provide written testimony about her private server. Will she work to produce those answers and make them public before the election on November 8th?
When they're received, I know that the secretary will get to work right away on answering them.
Minorities in America today clearly know that the Democratic Party is a party which is more representative of them than the Republican Party.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. But in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board. Kristen, a pleasure to have you here.
It's just such a pleasure to be here.
A severe pleasure, I'm sure.
I mean, 4 hours of staring across the table at you.
Wow. Yeah.
It's such a treat.
We're going to get to your dream later.
Oh,
so
I forgot about that.
We'll wait for that. We'll tease that. But before we do that, one of the books really making the rounds right now is this book by J.D. Vance, Hillbilly Elegy. And the question is, particularly in the context of the presidential race and the description of the Trump supporter as the white, middle-aged male, not college-educated, is it about race? Is it about power? Maybe it's not so easy as the D.C. press would have you believe. And for an answer to the question, is the death of the hillbilly greatly exaggerated, we're now pleased to be joined by the author of Hillbilly Elegy, J.D. Vance. J.D., thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So before we get to kind of the thesis of your book, a little bit on your background. It's quite something. You grew up poor, and you're not so much anymore. Give us a little bit of your story.
Yeah, so I grew up in a southern Ohio steel town that's one of these classic places where Main Street looks more and more depressing, and the steel mill that employed a lot of people is no longer employing so many people. I grew up in a family with a lot of addiction problems and domestic chaos, but I managed to get out thanks to my grandmother and to the United States Marine Corps. Now I work in Silicon Valley as an investor. So my life has been, in some ways, it's been very representative of what folks call the American dream. But as I write about in the book, it's not, it's not that easy. It's been a lot more complicated than that. And that's one of the reasons I wrote, is to try to explain why that's happening.
You talk in your book about the loyalty and secrecy sort of the hillbilly ethic, and that there's an honor code associated with that, which means maybe you're not supposed to move up into a different wealth bracket. Explain how you kind of have balanced both worlds.
Yep, there's definitely a sort of pressure not to become too big for your britches, as folks back home say, which I think is an important impulse, right? It keeps people humble. It makes people remember where they came from and not grow too disconnected from the place that they grew up in. But at the same time, it does create certain pressures not to leave. And when you grow up in an area where there isn't a whole lot of upward mobility, sometimes the only way to actually have a better job is to leave the place you grew up in. So you definitely have to balance, that desire for a better life with the desire to stay close to your home and family, which is, something that I try to do, and I think everybody tries to strike that balance differently.
How has the community and communities like it that you grew up in, how has it changed since you were a kid? One of the things that I saw you discuss was that, a lot of these communities and these areas of the country are considered the Bible Belt, but maybe they're not so much anymore.
Yeah, one of the big trends in this area of the world, like you said, we think of these areas as the Bible Belt. But if you look at actual church attendance rates as opposed to just religious identification rates, people aren't going to church as much. They're calling themselves Christian. They're saying that they care very much about their faith, and I believe that they do. But they're also not going to church, and as you may know, church brings a lot of social benefits. So it's in some ways a troubling trend that people are more and more disconnected from traditional religious institutions.
So you try to explain in this book what makes this population tick. So as it relates to this presidential campaign, what is this crop of voters looking for, and what makes them tick politically?
Well, I think, first of all, they're proud. So I think the past 5 or 10 years, especially the wars that haven't gone very well, the sense of dislocation and anxiety that surrounds them, I think that's really hit them hard, and they've been looking for somebody in some ways to take that fight, to take the frustration that they feel at many of the political elites to those political elites. I think that's one of the big appeals of Donald Trump. But folks, I think, fundamentally are really pessimistic about the future. And it's not just about economic prospects or job prospects. It's primarily about the fact that they see more and more people dying of heroin overdoses, that they see that it's more difficult for their children to have their share at the American dream. And so I think one of the big things that's going on here is that folks are very, very frustrated about the future and very cynical about the future, and that's driving a lot of their political decisions.
We're talking to J.D. Vance. He's the author of Hillbilly Elegy. In a piece this week in the Pittsburgh Gazette, Selena Zito writes about the Gallup survey that was done, these 87,000 interviews that present a sort of profile of the Trump supporter. And I want to read just one paragraph that she wrote from her piece and see if this rings true for you in terms of the populations that you're speaking of and writing about. A lot of the support for Trump has to do with a perceived loss of power. It's not so much about race. She writes, not power in the way that Washington or Wall Street boardrooms view power, but power in the sense that these people see a diminishing respect for them and their ways of life, their work ethic, their tendency not to be mobile. Many live in the same 8 square miles that their father and their father's father lived in.
Well, I think that definitely rings true, and it gets back to what I spoke about earlier, which is pride. People want respect. I think they want to feel that their way of life and their way of thinking about the world is respected, even if other people don't share it. And one of the big trends in American society right now is that the folks with financial and political power just aren't living among working class Americans. They don't really know that many working class Americans. Maybe the folks on the coast think of the middle of the country as flyover country, or maybe they just don't think of it at all. But regardless, I think it's very true that when people see their communities falling apart, they feel judged in some ways by people who work and live in Washington, D.C. I think it creates this mix of frustration, and it's not all that surprising that the frustration has taken the form that it has.
So you describe this as you got out of that sort of your upbringing, but what about you today still reflects the fact that you came from this, is it a hillbilly town? You came from this small town in Ohio. What about you today still reflects that?
Well, I like to think that I still care a lot about the values that I was brought up with. Hopefully I'm still very loyal to my friends and family. I believe I'm very patriotic, which is important to this group of people. I care a lot about the country, and I think that I owe it certain things. But fundamentally, I think that I'm humble, and I try to remind myself in my life in Silicon Valley that it's not all about money and power. The values that you have, the way you treat people is a lot more important than whether you have a good job or whether you have fancy credentials next to your name. And I think that's something that frankly, the elites could learn from this area of the country. Folks really care about who you are and not so much what you do, and that's a really important lesson.
Do you think that there is a racial component to this and perhaps some resentment? It's not maybe overtly race, but it's more kind of attention paid. So we talk about disproportionately minority neighborhoods in our big cities where elites live, and we're very concerned, at least we express concern. We're not doing a whole lot about it that's effective, but there's a lot more expression of concern. There's a lot more discussion about violence on the south and west sides of Chicago, for example, that are predominantly African-American neighborhoods. And it's relatively easy to dismiss the quote-unquote white trash, and even to use that phrase, in towns like you grew up in. And I wonder if that creates any resentment that we get the back of the hand treatment. We have some of the same struggles as people living in urban centers, but we get the back of the hand.
Yeah, well, I definitely think that there is a racial component to it. So some of the folks who are supporting Donald Trump are obviously, they don't have views about race that a lot of us would be comfortable with. But I think a lot of folks probably feel just like what you're saying. They're not racist as much as they are worried that there are perceptions that folks have about them that maybe they don't share about other groups of people. That it's, as my grandma once said, that it's okay to look down on white trash, or it's okay to look down on hillbillies, but it's not okay to look down on other groups of people. Mm-hmm. I think that perception is definitely very much alive and well in this community. I think, frankly, it's definitely real, but it's also probably overblown. I don't think that elites look down on people quite as much, at least based on the color of their skin, as folks back home think. But I do think it's a very real thing, and it definitely adds to this sense, again, that folks who have political power don't really care about the towns and the people that I knew growing up.
Well, so what is it that the towns and the people that you grew up with, what is it that they want? Do they want a life preserver, or do they want to just be kind of left to their own devices and be respected for doing so?
I think what they want most of all is the politics that at least recognizes some of the serious concerns that they have. It's just a matter of fact that if you live in these communities, one of the biggest things on your mind right now is this horrible prescription opioid and heroin epidemic. That's really, if you look at the statistics, white working class youth are more likely to die of heroin overdoses than any other group in the United States. These people are really worried about what's happening. I think recognizing that problem goes a long way to making these people feel politically like they're part of the conversation. And so it's a lot of ways, I think that the solutions are going to differ based on political party or based on the issue. But I think first a recognition of what these people are going through, what my people are going through, goes a long way to diffusing some of these political tensions that we see today.
How are you viewed by the people that you grew up with?
Well, it's funny. I've heard from a lot of people in the past 6 to 12 weeks since this book came out that I had that I knew really had much of an opinion of me. But it's been very positive. People feel in some ways that someone needed to tell the story. They needed to talk about the problems in our community honestly, but also compassionately. And I hope that I've done that. I'm sure that some people think, that I've kind of abandoned things, but I haven't heard a whole lot about that. And it's something that I try to be very mindful of, that I am fundamentally a part of this community. I will always be part of this community, and it's got to be a place and a group of people that I care about forever.
He's a former Marine, Yale Law School graduate, now the author of the book Hillbilly Elegy. J.D. Vance, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck with the book.
Great, thank you. Thank you for having me.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Your forecast today, mostly sunny, high of 81. Tonight, some clouds, some humidity, and possibly a thunderstorm. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, breezy, and a high of 82. Let's get a check of the roads now with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Kristen and Dan. Inbound Kennedy at Kimball, a stalled truck has moved to the right shoulder. It's about 50 minutes O'Hare to downtown. 37 from Montrose, 30 in the Express. Outbound still brutal. An hour and 6 minutes downtown to O'Hare. Edens is 21 minutes Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 43. The Eisenhower, an hour and 20 minutes Thorndale to downtown. An hour 5 from Manheim. Outbound an hour 10 to Thorndale. Stevenson is an hour and 7 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 50 minutes. Ryan, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State, southbound stop and go 21 to 137. Northbound Cicero all the way to 31st, and Roosevelt to Grand. Adams Tollway jammed. Meacham before the Tri-State with a crash in the left lane. Veterans Memorial stop and go. I-55 to the Reagan Tollway, and North Avenue to 290. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
What I care about is MyPillow. And guess what? If you haven't bought one yet, you are in luck. For August only, when you buy one premium MyPillow, you still get the second one free, but you'll also receive 2 additional Go Anywhere MyPillows for free. So you're actually getting 2 premium and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows for the price of 1. It's the best offer ever, and nearly every AM 560 host endorses MyPillow because it is the best. The National Sleep Foundation agrees because they made it their official pillow. It's washable to remove all the icky stuff that causes allergies, acne, and asthma. So it's healthy, and you'll sleep better. So visit MyPillow.com, click the radio listener special tab, and use the promo code Amy. You will get 2 premium MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere pillows for the price of 1. Or you can call 800-489-0201, mention the radio listener special, and use the promo code Amy. That's MyPillow.com. or 800-489-0201.
Sean Thompson, owner of the Elmhurst Cigar House.
The Elmhurst Cigar House is more than just your typical cigar house. First of all, it's in downtown Elmhurst, which is a beautiful neighborhood. Secondly, our smoking lounge is reminiscent of a cozy living room. If you think you recognize the voice, you do. This is Sean from Elmwood Park. When you come into the Elmhurst Cigar House, it's not just you're buying a cigar, you're saying hello, and you're leaving. We're having a conversation. Odds are when you come to the Elmhurst Cigar House, we're going to talk a little bit about politics, but more importantly, we're going to talk about fundamental liberties. And one thing we reserve the right to do at the Elmhurst Cigar House is we reserve the right not to serve communists and Fabian socialists. Come and have a great cigar, but more importantly, have a better conversation.
The Elmhurst Cigar House, 114 Park Avenue, just west of York Street in downtown Elmhurst, right across from the metro station.
Come on in to the Elmhurst Cigar House for a great conversation, a fantastic smoke. I look forward to meeting you.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
About 6 years ago, I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. I went from being able to work 14, 16 hours a day with no problem to where I could barely walk a block to the store without having to stop and rest. I went on to the phytonutrients about 6 months ago, and within a couple of months, my medical doctor had cut my prescriptions down in a little bit smaller dosage. The next time I went back a month later, I walked into the doctor's office and he says, "My gosh, what's happened to you?" you don't even look like the same person. He looked at my legs and the swelling had gone down. My blood pressure was down. The venous stasis ulcers that I had had on my legs for the last 4 or 5 years because of the poor circulation were all healed, and I'm feeling far better.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751 or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code Chicago.
For over 4 years, foreclosure defense attorney Lou Bridges has shared the truth about foreclosures. For as little as $80, you can advertise your business in Lou's show on AM 560 The Answer. It's easy. Your advertisements will be professionally written and produced. You'll get credible exposure for your business on a radio station that touches listeners in 4 states. All sponsorships in the show are category exclusive. All sponsors must pass a rigorous vetting process prior to Lou endorsing and recommending your company to his listeners. Lou is looking for sponsors in the following categories: credit repair, HVAC, moving, siding, roofing, banking, IRS tax resolution, car dealers, painting, remodeling, and lawyers. Don't delay. Find out today how you can reach potential customers for only $80 a week with the Lou Bridges Show. To become a sponsor on AM 560 The Answer, call Larry Chappell now at 847-312-8197. That's 847-312-8197.
If you suffer sinus congestion, trouble breathing through your nose, which gets worse when you lie down, facial pain, and sinus infections, antibiotics, nasal sprays, and steroids can only do so much. I'm Dr. Robert Deitch, and excited to tell you that recent advances in our field have opened exciting new doors. We're leading experts in a newer procedure called balloon sinus dilation that gently expands your natural sinus openings to fix underlying drainage problems. It takes 15 minutes and is performed in our office. Balloon sinus dilation is minimally invasive using local anesthesia and best of all delivers immediate and long-lasting relief. We're board-certified ENT specialists who can help you avoid expensive hospital visits and long recovery times.
For immediate and long-lasting relief from your sinus problems, call ENT Associates today at 847-882-5888 or visit nosinusproblems.com. That's ENT Associates at 847-882-5888 or online at nosinusproblems.com.
When you hear the word chiller, the first thing that pops into your mind may be a frozen drink from your favorite convenience store. If you run a business or you're a maintenance engineer, you know of a different kind of chiller, the mechanical one that keeps you, your employees, and customers cool in the summer. And with this summer predicted to be hotter than normal, you don't want to get stuck on one of those 90-plus degree days with no AC. Better call Air Comfort and get your chiller tuned up and running at peak performance. A professional inspection can find small problems before they become big problems, and proper maintenance can keep your system from wasting energy and money. Air Comfort will make sure your equipment is clean and obstacle-free. And if your AC is about to or has stopped working, they can install temporary solutions to keep you cool while the long-term fixes are put in place. The key is preventative maintenance, and Air Comfort can help. Schedule a comprehensive assessment of your mechanical system today. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
No matter what type of business you're in, having a strong business banking partnership can help your bottom line. I'm Jeff Boundy, president of Cornerstone National Bank and Trust Company. We strongly believe that trust, service, and relationship are the cornerstone of a successful business banking partnership. Customers like Robert Weissite of Robert C. Weissite Company agree.
I appreciate the depth of experience my Cornerstone banker brings to the table. Last June, we located a building we wanted to buy for expansion. My Cornerstone banker walked me through everything I could expect to face in advance, from the letter of intent all the way through the day of closing. It went very smooth and predictably and with low stress. He had been through this type of transaction many times, and his years of experience helped me make my purchasing experience predictable, efficient, and successful.
Thanks, Bob. Please visit cornerstonenb.com, or I invite you to give me a call at 847-654-3000 to explore a business banking partnership.
Equal Opportunity Lender, member FDIC.
Looking for an employment position or a career change in McHenry or Kane County? Contact Express Employment Professionals. 815-788-8556.
This is Terry Greeno. My company is Express Employment Professionals. If you want to get a new position in McHenry or Kane County, we are your connection. We did it 425,000 times last year. We are the go-to company for employment. Make a change and get a position that is rewarding and fulfilling. We know the companies in this area, and we know how to match you with a position that's a good fit for you. It's simple. We put great companies and great people together. We have the companies, now we need you. Contact us. Get more information at expresshires.com.
Contact the go-to company, the one that specializes in employment positions in McHenry and Kane County. Contact Express Employment Professionals, 815-788-8556. 815-788-8556.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 8:38, more of Munchkin Madigan's musings, but now let's check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Kristen and Dan, good morning. Good morning, everyone. We have 68 degrees, and a police spokesman tells us 4 have died in a fire at a Chicago apartment building. It appears to have been deliberately set after a domestic dispute. It began around 1:30 this morning in a 3-story building in the South Chicago neighborhood. A police spokesman says a preliminary investigation indicates a person returned to the building after a domestic dispute and set fire to the rear porch. He says officers are searching for a person of interest wanted for questioning. Witnesses telling reporters they saw several people jumping from windows to escape. The National Hurricane Center this morning says the 7th tropical storm of the season, Gaston, has developed far over the Atlantic. However, it will remain well out to sea, hurricane strength, even by the weekend. President Barack Obama will make his first visit to flood-ravaged southern Louisiana today. The president has taken some major flack for opting to complete his family's vacation in Martha's Vineyard before going to Louisiana. Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump reiterating his positions on immigration in Akron, Ohio yesterday.
Poor Hispanic and African American citizens are the first to lose a job or to see a pay cut when we don't control our borders. So true.
Hillary Clinton continues to lead the presidential race. According to this week's NBC News Survey Monkey poll, however, that margin is actually shrinking, about 1.5 points smaller than last week's same survey among registered voters. An Illinois prison spokeswoman says an assault on 6 workers by 5 inmates at the Pontiac Correctional Center appears to have resulted from a failure to follow workplace safety procedures. And more than 1,000 residents of a Northwest Indiana public housing complex are now in a state of panic and uncertainty after authorities informed them their homes must be destroyed because of serious lead contamination at the West Calumet complex in East Chicago. Cubs over San Diego 5-1 last night. The news a service of Back to School Illinois. Back to School Illinois provides school supplies for children in need, and you can help by making a donation at any neighborhood currency exchange or at b2si.org. Back to School Illinois, working to improve educational opportunities for Illinois children. b2si.org. 8:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher gets rough with the Never Trumpers.
Maybe you just ought to stay in bed and leave the heavy lifting to some of us who are trying to fight for the country. How about you sit back and let those of us who are fighting desperately to keep Hillary Clinton out of the White House, let us do what we got to do, because you're just in the way. You're boring, you're tedious, and you're maddening.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas. Best beans, best roast, best coffee.
Here's microbiologist Dr. Kim O'Neill talking about balance of nature.
Scientific research has shown that many cancers and lifestyle diseases can be prevented with a diet rich in fruits and vegetables. This prevention comes from the phytochemicals in the plants. They fight against oxidants that damage the cell's DNA, causing mutations that lead to disease. I don't take any supplementation, but I take Balance of Nature because I know, I've seen it in my lab, and I know that it works. I've seen the immune response increase, I've seen your DNA repair capacity increase, and I've seen DNA protection. And that, to me, as a scientist, rings so true, and it's only natural.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code CHICAGO.
It is 8:36, and let's get an update on your ride to work this morning. Guardian Security Services Traffic Center time. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The Edens Expressway is heavy outbound from Montrose to Winnetka Road. 43 minutes, Montrose to Lake Cook. Inbound fine at 19. Kennedy, 52 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. Outbound, it's an hour. The Eisenhower is an hour and 15 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. Outbound, an hour 5. The Stevenson, an hour and 7 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, 50 minutes. The Ryan is 35 minutes from 95th to the Loop. Tri-State southbound, stop and go, 21 to 137. Northbound, 111th to 31st, and Roosevelt to Grand. Adams Tollway jammed. Roselle before the Tri-State with a crash in the left lane. Reagan Tollway, slow 31 to the Aurora Toll, and York to the Tri-State Veterans Memorial. Fountain to the Reagan Tollway, and North Avenue to 290. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Sunny and 81 today. Thunderstorm crops up overnight, low 67, and a humid day with storms tomorrow, high 82. Currently 67 degrees. Next news coming up at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next with Kristen McCreary of the Chicago Tribune editorial board joining us this morning on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Real Estate Revealed with Randy Barcella. Heard each and every Sunday at 8 a.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Don't miss Freedom Summit Chicago 2016, October 29th at Itasca. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com.
Dan, and in for Amy, Kristen McCreary of the Chicago Tribune editorial board, as previewed by Mike Scott. And Kristen, Mike Madigan came out of his lair yesterday to talk to the Springfield press corps, answer questions. And he had a number of things to say. Ronner is Trump, Trump is Ronner, making that connect. He also talked about why minorities affiliate with the Democrats and why they will continue to.
Well, I think that minorities in America are prepared to vote against Donald Trump because of his record, because of the statements he's made during the campaign. Minorities in America today clearly know that the Democratic Party is a party which is more representative of them than the Republican Party.
Yeah, I mean, nobody is a better spokesman for minorities than Mike Madigan.
I mean, he's right in that visually they are. And the Republican Party has done a terrible job of trying to promote and elect more African-American members. But in terms of policy and what would actually help reduce poverty and raise up some of this population that we're talking about, Democrats have completely fallen down on the job. And if you don't believe that, look at the city of Chicago. The CPS is on the verge of bankruptcy. All of the millions and millions of dollars we spend on after-school programs and anti-poverty initiatives really have made no measurable difference. We dumped an extra $31 billion over 4 years of an income tax increase to try to right the ship of the state. That didn't work. So it just continues to amaze me that people like our caller earlier, John from Mundelein, can in any way defend, one-party control in this state.
Yeah, and here's the thing. It's beyond money for me. Let's just set aside all the money that's been incinerated. Just set it aside for a minute. What you have, Mike Madigan and John Cullerton and these people, it's like Malcolm McDowell and his droogs in Clockwork Orange. You have roving bands of thugs committing violence against other people. And we're like, that's terrible. We got to get rid of Mike Madigan. And we repeat our lines. They repeat their lines. Meanwhile, people are getting their brains beat in. And you have these thugs, and a synonym for thug is coward, hiding behind disabled children, hiding behind people who need state services through no fault of their own. destroying people's private property, tearing asunder what they've worked for their entire life, whether it's an investment in their business or an investment in a home, tearing it apart and doing it blithely. And you have Republicans who are cake eaters and these thugs that are kind of street fighters of the worst variety. That's a terrible matchup. Republicans don't have the appetite for any fight, and you have the rapaciousness of these, these individuals who are violent thugs. Not violent in the sense of street gangs, but violent, no difference.
One of the biggest shoulder shrug moments of late. Maybe it was a year ago, the Tribune's Ray Long reported that Mike Madigan had taken $35 million in general revenue fund, that's cash, and hid it in Secretary of State Jesse White's budget so that it wouldn't be touched or scrutinized, and then used it to help his own constituents build a school in his own district, and then sprinkle money around to help, give a little bit of pork here and there to his leadership team in the General Assembly. That at a time when state providers are begging to get paid, when there's a long line of Democratic lawmakers also whose schools could use a new addition or are overcrowded. Not a word of criticism toward Mike Madigan from his own members, and actually very little from the Republican side of the aisle, too, for taking, he considers it his money, not ours, not taxpayer money. And the fact that this was so blatantly done and that Jesse White allowed it to happen and it was, like you're saying, just a shoulder shrug.
Well, banana republics look at Illinois and they say, oh, man, that is a badly governed state.
Right. We make banana republics look well governed.
And so everybody plays the kleptocracy game. And in addition to that, what we have in Illinois with the hollowing out that's going on with productive people leaving, you're increasingly left with dependence of the state, dependence on that rely on transfer payments, and sophisticated barbarians, the educated, the legislative elites, the lakefront liberals, and the G5 leftists on the North Shore.
Can we have Crying Dan at some point?
Oh, Crying
Dan? Does that fit in here? Maybe? No?
This
okay.
Is kind of Angry Dan.
All right, sorry.
This is indignant Dan.
I've been experiencing Angry Dan.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's just like, does anything animate anybody in this state to do anything other than recite their pat lines depending on their political persuasion, depending on their partisan affiliation? Can you get anybody to break from the script?
No, you can't. And I think part of that is, I thought about this when Blagojevich was being resentenced, just the ultimate price of all the corruption in this state is apathy and numbness. And we are just, we just float a lot. We're so used to it. The idea of Mike Madigan stashing away $35 million into a separate account, basically for his own use, no big deal.
Listen to this, too. I mean, so last week at the State Fair, Comptroller Leslie Munger proposes this initiative, no budget, no pay. Legislators are complaining that they're in queue, they're in line with all the others that are owed money by the state, social service providers and vendors. We're legislators. We should get paid first. We're doing our job. That's what Kimberly Lightford, Senator from Maywood, said, Democrat. That's what Robert Martwick, representative from Norwood Park, Norridge area said, right?
Right.
We want ours. The hell with everybody else. Well, Munger, since we haven't gone 15 years without a constitutionally balanced budget, she proposed you don't pass a constitutionally balanced budget as required, then you don't get paid, period, on a go-forward basis. I like it. Every Republican should sign on. Every Republican challenger should sign on. And everybody, Republican incumbent, Democratic incumbent, should be challenged to sign on. Are you serious about this or not?
Except, Pat Quinn tried to halt legislator pay in 2013, I believe, because they had not responded to his demand for a pension reform bill.
Right.
It went to the courts. The courts upheld the pay based on this Article 4, Section 11 of the Illinois Constitution.
Impressive citation. Way to shepherdize that.
Which says that you cannot change the salary of a lawmaker during the term for which he or her has been elected.
Well, I know, but this is prospective.
So for the next legislative term.
Correct.
I think I know the judge ruled very narrowly in that case, but the reason that this is in the Constitution is because they didn't want another branch of government to be able to hold back pay if these members weren't doing.
No. This isn't a branch of government. This is the General Assembly passing legislation that says members of the General Assembly shall not be paid if they don't pass a constitutionally balanced budget.
But if it violates the Illinois Constitution, it'll be challenged.
Number one, it doesn't violate the Illinois Constitution. Number two, to the extent that you have one of these left-leaning judges that's going to say anything that doesn't maintain the kleptocracy violates it, so what? Then litigate it. I mean, this idea, everybody, this is one of the other things that happens, too, and Republicans are as guilty as Democrats. We can't do that. Oh, it's unconstitutional. Oh, everybody's a constitutional scholar all of a sudden. You know what it is? It's a cop-out because I don't want to have the fight. That's what they're really saying. Because when the left really wants something, they will skirt the Constitution, and when except when it's useful, then they're constitutionalists, then they're strict constructionists. They'll issue executive orders. They'll do whatever they need to do to get from here to there. And, with the tea and crumpet set in the Republican Party, let's avoid this ugliness. And we wonder why we have the state we have. Neil in LaGrange.
Wasn't Martwick's dad the old regional superintendent of schools?
Yes.
That the Dems, he was so bad that the Dems said, okay, you can't run again, just retire. And he agreed to it, and then at the last minute didn't. So then they pulled the funding from that office, and that's why Cook County does not technically have a regional superintendent of schools office.
Yeah, well, to the extent we need that vestigial office. Thanks for the call, Neil. You're right about Martwick and their long family of the long history of that family's skullduggery. I could see the point. Kevin in Mundelein.
Hey, good morning. The whole democratic system, and especially in the city of Chicago, but across the nation, is rigged to filter money into their pockets. They let illegal aliens in this country for votes, give them free food services like stamps for grocery shopping. They give them free medical. And then they rob the pension funds of police, fire, and teacher, and they try to replace it, their criminal acts, by creating a tampon tax, which was just, I guess, overturned. But, I mean, it's so crooked. Chicago is on the way to Detroit. The only thing that's keeping them back is that we're an area for commerce that ships products across the nation.
The transportation center, right?
Otherwise, the Democratic Party, they're a bunch of crooks, and they have been forever, and they run a monopoly on the political system.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Kevin. The question is, why do they have a monopoly? That's the question. I understand what the landscape is. Everybody sees what the landscape is. The question is, why do they have it, despite the performance that we're all describing, and how do you rid them of it, or rid us of it? Mike in Geneva.
Hey, Dan, I was just going to say, between Kristen and your comments, it's the liberals and the left, they just want it more. We all see what's going on, and yet the conservative side, I mean, I feel the same way. It's like we're almost apathetic and we're stuck. We can identify what's wrong, but we seem to be unable to motivate and get up and do anything.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Yeah,
it's true. In a lot of these legislative districts, many lawmakers, incumbents are running unopposed. Even on Election Day, you'll see turnout of, 30%, and that's good for us. So it's a problem.
Sean in Elmwood Park.
Man, I love this show today. I didn't think a guy without a wedding ring and 2 tuition payments could get that angry. You keep it up, Prof. I love it. Secondly, as you listen to the philosophies of the 55-year-old bust out in a cover band preaching theft from his fellow citizen, call it communism, call it socialism, but please let's stop calling it liberalism. That number one. And the other monument to success, the Marine who grew up poor, talking about it's not about money, it's about what he can do, it's about the opportunities he creates. And you look at the two philosophies together, only one breeds the kind of tyranny that a midget, effeminate Irish lowlife who's kept office for 40-something years could thrive in. And that is the philosophy of iron-fisted government. And I laugh every time a loser chants to be a servant. So let's keep it up, because the argument is more philosophical than we think it is. And we need to focus that we're the ones championing for opportunity and freedom, not the morons in Mundelein.
Thanks, Sean. Kurt in Park Ridge.
You know, it's going to end eventually, and it's going to be a shame. But this is going to have to collapse. Illinois, the coffers are going to be empty, and there's going to be no one paying all these welfare checks, and no one's going to be paying the government employees. And eventually, everyone's going to say "uncle," and that's when it's going to stop.
Thanks, Kurt.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I hope we have time for your dreams.
No, it'd be okay if we didn't. Today, mostly sunny, high of 81. Tonight, some clouds, more humid, and a thunderstorm in spots late. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, breezy, humid again, high of 82. Let's get a check of the roads with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Kristen and Dan. If you want to keep that blood boiling, take the eastbound Adams Tollway. It's just a mess from Roselle Road to before the Tri-State, with a crash still blocking the left lane. The other tollways still have delays, though they're starting to improve. The Edens is fine inbound, but outbound 43 minutes, Montrose to Lake Cook. Kennedy 52 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound an hour. The Eisenhower's an hour 15. Thorndale to the post office, outbound an hour and 5 minutes. Stevenson, an hour and 10 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 45 minutes. The Ryan, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Oh, I love my Solotube. So simple that it's genius. In only 2 hours, it transformed the darkest room of my house. Now, you've heard me talk about Solotube and this amazing technology. Here's how it works. There's a small roof dome which captures sunlight. Then a super reflective tubing transfers that sunlight into brilliant daylight that fills your room. Again, it takes 2 hours to install, and they clean up, and you'll never even know that they were there. And there's a lot of beautiful options to choose from, and it's affordable. The natural lighting truly brightened my home, and it seems so much bigger. So I highly recommend you brighten your home with natural light using Solotube daylighting systems. Call my friend Katie at Chicago Skylight Pros, that's a Solotube premier dealer, for your free consultation. Call Katie at 844-789-SHINE, S-H-I-N-E, SHINE. Mention me and receive $75 off your first Solotube. That's 844-789-SHINE, or visit ChicagoSkylightPros.com to see the video and the amazing before and after pictures. That's ChicagoSkylightPros.com.
I've been taking the Balance of Nature fruits and veggie capsules for many years. What hooked me was something I wasn't expecting. I was playing golf with one of my friends, and midway through the round, he looks over at me and says, "What's going on here? You're killing me. Did you get new clubs or something?" It dawned on me that the only thing I'm doing different is taking Balance of Nature. I've been a 15 handicap golfer for a long time. 3 months after I started taking the fruits and veggies, I started dropping strokes off my handicap. Even my sons noticed I was playing better. I told them, when I started getting enough fruits and veggies in my diet, I felt better. Better concentration, better swing. When you feel better, you play better.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751 or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code CHICAGO.
Sometimes what you want most from your car is nothing.